This is the day you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It doesn't look like we thought it would look, nor will tomorrow and the days to come likely be executed in the way we expected and prepared for. Help us to see the good in each day. Help us to find reasons to rejoice and ways to be glad. Litter our lives with moments of laughter and lightheartedness, even these extremely dark and trying times. Each one of us, both teacher and student, were created with specific purpose. Help teachers to have confidence in their craft. They were meant to teach, educate, coach, counsel, and lead. They are needed, appreciated, and loved. Their work and their efforts are never in vain. Sustain us through our real fear of what is and what will happen in our world. Remind us we are not alone even when we feel isolated.
A few reminders before we begin our celebration. When attending webinar, please be mindful of these etiquette. Please turn off all sound notifications while attending the session and ensure that you are in a place with no background noise or echo. Turn on your microphone only when you take the floor and make sure you are always muted unless you are speaking. Turning on your camera while speaking is highly encouraged. Please look presentable. So good morning everyone. Welcome to the Global Teacher Prize GTP and Global Student Prize GSP 2021 Advocacy Forum brought to you by the DepEd International Cooperation Office in partnership with the Global Teacher Prize Ambassadors, Philippines. My partner's name is Miss Jamie Carion and I am Meili and we will be your hosts for today. Just to give you a brief background on today's forum, the International Cooperation Office, ICO, is anchored on the goal of enhancing the institutional capacity of the department in developing, coordinating, managing, and consequently fulfilling international commitments of the country through strengthening ties with international partners towards quality, accessible, and liberating education. One of its goals is to provide technical assistance in setting direction in the promotion of quality, accessible, relevant, inclusive education to the grassroots level. And in line with this, the Global Teacher Prize GTP Advocacy Forum will set a platform for Filipino teachers in partaking their roles on cultural, political, and economic factors that play when it comes to the social standing of teachers in different circumstances and how this make an impact to education system of the country, especially to the learners who will eventually become leaders and catalysts of change in their own communities. The Global Teacher Prize is an annual US 1 million award by the Varkey Foundation to a teacher who has made an outstanding contribution to his or her profession. Nomination and specific criteria is open to the public and teachers can nominate themselves. Judging is done by the Global Teacher Prize Academy. It is referred to as the Nobel Prize for Teaching. It serves to underline the importance of educators and the fact that throughout the world, their efforts deserve to be recognized and celebrated. The award seeks to acknowledge the impacts of the very best teachers, not only on their students, but on the communities around them. An inadequate education is a major factor behind the social, political, economic, and health issues faced by the world today. And since its inaugural in 2015, we are blessed to have 5 Filipino teachers who made it to the final top 50. These teachers find their ways in educating learners in diverse situations and still make learning innovative within extraordinary means. For the information of everyone, we are also live via DepEd Philippines, DepEd-ICO Facebook pages, and EmpowerEd YouTube channel.
So with that said, let us listen to the opening remarks of the Undersecretary for Planning and Human Resources and Organizational Development, Undersecretary Jesus L.R. Mateo.
Good afternoon, sirs and moms. Welcome to the Global Teacher Prize, GTP for short, or Global Teacher Student Prize, GSP, for 2021 Virtual Advocacy Forum. At this point, let me recognize the presence of our top Global Teacher Prize finalists beginning in 2017. So I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Francis Jim Toscano, 2017, Dr. Jesus Inselada, 2018, Mr. Ryan Homan, 2018, Dr. Venus Alboroto, 2019, and Mr. Wendell Alvarez. As we all know, this Global Teacher Prize started by Sunny Barkey, the chair of the Barkey Foundation, who inaugurated the first Global Teacher Prize way back in 2015 with the purpose of celebrating teachers and rewarding them for their hard work and dedication in imparting knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to the youth, which is the future of our generation. The Global Teacher Prize serves to underline the importance of educators and the fact that throughout the world, their efforts deserve to be recognized and celebrated. It seeks to acknowledge the impacts of the very best teachers, not only on their students, but on the community around them. Teachers who were nominated and won the prize have been nothing but extraordinary. In fact, in over 127 countries, these teachers exemplify what it means to be an educator. This award became a platform for Filipino teachers to exhibit their talents brought about by their profession. This award recognizes their way of teaching and the different innovative teaching in which learners learn from. So, with the recent launch of the Check.org Global Student Prize this year, a $50,000 sister award to the Global Teacher Prize by the Barkey Foundation, we also put into limelight the efforts of extraordinary students throughout the world that are making a real impact on learning, the lives of their peers, and society beyond. We have to realize that students carry different responsibilities and face numerous challenges, just like our teachers, especially during this pandemic. In realizing this, we foster the need to address this issue and listen to the stories of our students. Through this, we can empower our own Filipino students to take on the challenge to be nominated in this award and be recognized for their hard work and dedication. The virtual the Virtual Advocacy Forum reminds us of our educators' journey and the weight that these teachers carry to be nominated in what I call the Nobel Prize of the teaching community. They have proved themselves resilient and committed to delivering quality education to their students and to their stories deserve to be recognized and heard. So this forum also highlights the need to look into our learners and their development, to empower and support them in their journey, most especially in these trying times. Thank you and good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you very much, Undersecretary Mateo, for that inspiring opening message. Now let us also hear the welcome message of our Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction, Undersecretary Josdado M. San Antonio.
My congratulations and best wishes to the International Cooperation Office, ably headed by our very dynamic and lovely Director Mards. for coming up with this advocacy for us to create and nurture more global, global prize awardees among our fellow teachers and now among the learners. I am fully convinced that the Philippines has a lot of teachers and learners who are capable of excelling in the world stage. As indicated by our previous nominees, yes, there are many fellow teachers and hopefully learners in the future who will be considered as exemplars of excellence in the teaching profession or in the task of learning. And the best way for us to be able to do this is to support the advocacy of the Department of Education through ICO. And we at the Curriculum and Instruction Strand also have created the Circle of Innovators for Learning. And I will tell my team that the global prize nominees and shortlisted finalists should be part of our circle of innovators for learning because we really want to infect more of our fellow teachers and school officials with the virus of innovation and excellence. And we're doing this because we know that, as has been demonstrated by many of our fellow teachers who are not very noisy, but they are creating innovations, being very creative in responding to the challenges of delivering basic education services during these COVID-19 times. Thank you very much, Director Mars and your team once again. And mabuhay po tayong lahat. God bless.
Thank you very much, His San Antonio, for that inspiring opening message. And now, let us proceed with the presentation of passion projects of our dear Global Teacher Prize ambassadors who will grace us with their stories, experiences, skills, and insights as a teacher recognized by the world. Today, we have with us Mr. Wendell Alvarez, 2020 Global Teacher Prize Top 50 finalist, who is a mobile teacher in the alternative learning system who also teaches health and sanitation, financial literacy, tree planting, and environmental care. Between 2011 and 2018, he helped 126 students pass the ALS accreditation and equivalency test for elementary and secondary level. And Dr. Venus Alboroto, 2019 Global Teacher Prize Top 50 finalist, who identified strategic intervention materials as an effective tool for connecting with a large number of students. Her school in Surigao has an average class size of 50, and she turned this challenge into an opportunity. She provided students with opportunities to understand the positive contribution they can make through the world through environmental project works like mangrove planting and seaside and community cleanouts.
We also have with us Dr. Jesus Incelada, 2018 GTP Top 10 finalist, whose advocacy focuses on culture-based and inclusive education, CBIE. He dreams of a truly inclusive and culture-sensitive education. With this approach, students are engaged through traditional dances, songs, epics, local games, and crafts to give context to their studies. Test scores showed at least 87% of his pupils achieved their age-expected grades through culture-based teaching. Mr. Ryan Homan, 2018 GTP Top 50 finalist, who is known for his Balsa Basa and Walking for Knowledge, which reaches pupils whose homes are far from the school. Balsa Basa is a floating school where he put up 5,000 pesos of his own money for the balsa, and NGOs donated books and other supplies. Walking for Knowledge prompted the group to walk 1 kilometer to reach their destination, wherein they can have a reading and storytelling lesson for kids. And last but definitely not the least, Mr. Francis Toscano, 2017 GTP Top 50 finalist, who integrates using technology in order to deepen learning. After his first year of using iPads and other tools, 94% of his students said that it had helped their learning. He has led various studies examining the efficacy of iPad learning. With that said, may we call on our GTP ambassadors to join the stage as they discuss their passion projects and enlighten us of their learnings and insights of what it takes to be a well-renowned teacher.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and it's good to see you again. And hi, Sir
Good
Ryan,
afternoon,
Sir
Miss Jane.
Jesus. Good afternoon, Ma'am Wendell, Sir Jim, and thank you again for this afternoon that we're together. We're all together. And to begin with, I have a question for you guys. You know, when we are young, we have different dreams. You know, like when we grow up, we wanted to be like a doctor, a scientist, or I myself, I wanted to be a doctor before, but like everything changed when I grew up. But my question to you guys is, when you were younger, you are all an accomplished teacher, right? So was this your dream before? Like, was this your first dream, like dream job, or this was a profession that you were seeing yourself when you were young? And can you tell me about, like what pushed you to become a teacher? So maybe I'll call on Mom Venus because you're the only rose among the thorns. So, Ma'am Venus, the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon po. So on that question, as a child, actually, yes, my ultimate dream was to become a teacher. I always looked up to my teachers as my only hope. Having been born from a very poor family, so I always look up to my teacher. I respect them. And then I am amazed of how we call our teachers anytime, anywhere. So they are always called ma'am and sir. And so as a child, I have already dreamed that I will also become a teacher because I want to be called mom. So when I grow up, so that was my inspiration. And so as time went by, so yeah, there I became a teacher.
Wow. So, Mom Venus, thank you for sharing that. And maybe I see Sir Jess smiling right now. So, maybe Sir Jess, would you like to share
Magandang
something?
hapon, Miss Jamie.
Good afternoon, Sir
Magandang
Jess.
hapon sa madlang teachers natin sa buong Pilipinas. In my own case, I have convinced myself right now that I am destined to become a teacher because when I was in the elementary during my childhood years, I had many ambitions in mind. I wanted to become an architect. I wanted to become a journalist, a writer, because Miss Jamie, when I was in elementary and high school, I had many passions, I had many interests. And so I thought of doing many things and pursuing this when I grow up. But now I have convinced myself that to believe that I am really destined to become a teacher because situations led me to this profession I am enjoying right now. To make my long story short, just like what Dr. Venus had shared, that situations like poverty really became a factor. Because in my own case, my older sister supported my studies all the way from high school to college, would tell me to take up any course available in our local or municipal college. And during our time, only two courses were available, one for agriculture and one for education. And so I ended taking up an education course. And I think with all these factors, I must say that I am destined to become a teacher. Another reason is that I am an Igtaman. That is my mountain name, which means someone who has so much to share. And I think that very best person, or that person who could really share so much, is the teacher. So that's it, Miss Jamie.
Thank you, Dr. Jess. And I want to hear also Sir Windell. Hello, Sir Windell.
Hi,
Hello,
Sir
Ma'am Jamie.
Wendell.
Good afternoon po, Sir Jess.
Good
Alam niyo po,
afternoon.
good afternoon po. Alam niyo po kung sino talaga yung nag-inspired sa akin palagi, yung aking magulang. Kasi I was inspired to pursue my education because of my father's painful experience of dropping out in high school due to financial difficulties. Yung mayroon kasi siyang mantra na kung habo mo magtapos, kung habo mo magtios, kaipuhan mo magtapos. Or if you don't want to have a miserable life, you have to finish your studies. Has strengthened my aspiration. So my adheres and values education as the only means to escape poverty. Being a single parent to 5 children was a great challenge to my father, especially in sending us to school. In fact, in 2020, I took up accountancy, or in 1995 in university. But after a year, I had to stop because of my father could no longer afford to sustain all the needed financial requirements. So I know I need to go back to school. So I decided to become a working student. So I pursued my studies and earned a degree in education. Siguro yun po ang ano yan. That is my journey kung bakit nagi akong isang teacher ngayon.
Yes, thank you, Sir Wendell. I myself, I was inspired by my father before. He was an accountant, but I think numbers is not for me. So I took up accounting and shifted to marketing. Anyway, maybe Sir Ryan and Sir G, was it also your dream before when you were young that you'll become a teacher? Let's hear from Sir Ryan first. Sir Ryan, good afternoon.
Okay, so good afternoon everyone, to all my colleagues and ICO family, Dr. Marge. Um, Actually, when I was young, uh, I have this dream to become a doctor because my mother died
Wow.
when I was 5 years old, because we used to live in a far-flung community, mga 4 hours from the barrio, and then two 2 hours from the town. Sabi ko sa sarili ko, kung may doktor, may ospital dito sa amin, hindi siguro agad namatay yung nanay ko sa panganganak. So doon po pumasok yung dream ko na na maging doktor. Pero nung dumating ako ng high school na bago, I changed my mind because I saw this real situation in my community in San Jose, in Sorsogon. There were only three teachers in our school, in elementary school. So we need more teachers to teach children in our community. That's why when I finished high school, I took the elementary education to continue my education. But unfortunately, I was not able to pass the entrance exam. I belong to below quota, and I talked to the dean of the College of Education in Albay. I asked him to allow me to enroll in that institution, and then tinanong niya ako, bakit gusto mo maging teacher? Sabi ko po, kung magiging teacher ako, I will be the first teacher in my community. So, sir, please give me this opportunity para makatulong ako sa community ko. Yun po, ang bait po ng Dean, binigyan niya ako ng opportunity, and doon po nagsimula lahat. Tuloy-tuloy na yon hanggang nakakuha po ako ng scholarship. At
I believe we lost Sir Ryan, but we'll get back to him. And now we'll proceed. Last but not least, of course, Sir Jim. Was it your dream also to be a teacher before, or you were dreaming for something else?
I was definitely dreaming for something else. I wanted to become an astronaut or a
Mm.
scientist. Uh,
Wow.
Oh.
because well, it's really because I live. My mother is a public school teacher. My titas are teachers, so I have been exposed to books in high school, and I fell in love with science. So I wanted to become actually three: astronaut, a scientist, and a genetics scientist. So all those kinds of stuff. But things change. I things change, and then after graduating in college, I just wanted. I graduated with a degree in philosophy, and I just wanted to take a job. So I got in my school right now in my first year. I was taking my eduk units, but I was hired to become a values education, religious and values education teacher. And in my first year, I had to learn how to be a teacher in theory and in practice. So I was not a graduate of education, but in college, I did some how do you call that? I went to barangays near Ateneo and taught kids. So when I was in college, that's how I got to learn how to become a teacher. But I do remember when I was studying in Abra, Tayum Central School, because I studied in public school in Abra, I already sort of felt how the life of the teacher would be because the veteran teachers who were my class advisors, may they rest in peace. They're not anymore with us. They usually are. I was usually their assistant, so we don't have much book before. So I would write in the notebook, in the blackboard, or I will tutor my classmates. So there were times when I tutor my classmates. So I think it's really because I was exposed to the work of teachers that I got to not really before. I just want to be honest. I didn't want to be a teacher before, but I think the more that you get the experience, the more that you see the work of every teacher, the more that you recognize and you become one. I personally would like to become one of them.
All right. Thank you, Sir Jim. I have another follow-up question, and then maybe would ask something later, no? Um, I would like to know what are the challenges you face, in your journey from a teacher. Besides, like we heard from Sir Wendell, Sir Jess, also, do you have any other challenges that you experience? So, Sir Jim, I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, I think for me the main challenge was because with all honesty again, I sort of made the decision to leave my school like after my third year because I was getting bored. I mean, the life of a teacher is usually the same thing. It's the same schedule. It's the same of set of people that you talk to. But the main challenge really was because I was getting bored with what I was doing, and I know that my students were also getting bored with what we were doing. So I made it a point to really look for ways to get my students engaged with what we're learning. That's why a while ago you mentioned about the use of technology as really my focus of expertise. It's really because that's the reason why I went into technology. It's because the generation right now, the language that they use, the things that they use, pretty much talks about technology. So that's how I got to learn. That's my main challenge. And I think the challenge inspired me to explore more things. Um, so it's really about engaging students and get we know how students get bored, and we know how the generation is very different right now. Instead of me complaining, I took it a challenge to understand them so that I can make myself relevant to them, or else because I remember even before when I was young, when my teacher was boring, I wouldn't listen to them,
Same
right?
with
I
me.
would just rather open my book because my teacher was just repeating what it's in the book, right? So I would rather read the book. So therefore, I did not want that to happen with my students. I want to know my students. I want to engage them. So I took it as a challenge. So I don't go online writing about how different the students right now. I take it as a challenge for me as a teacher.
Yes. Um, Thank you, Sir Jean. And anyone can share from the group. Maybe you have the same challenges that Mr. Jean experienced, or maybe a different one. Sir Jess, or you want to share something? Sir Jess, excuse me. Could you please unmute your mic? Or there's
Oh,
something wrong with your
okay.
audio.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Jamie. Um, Listening to the sharing of Sir Jim, I would conclude that we have different contexts, we have different backgrounds, but I could really relate to him also because I myself could also categorize my challenges into one, being an IP person or indigenous person, second, being an indigenous teacher or a IP teacher, and third, um, pursuing my advocacy projects or passion projects. First, being an indigenous person, you would really feel like being inferior as a young boy. I had inferiority complex, and when I have to mingle with others, I feel inferior. I had stage fright before, and I had to overcome these weaknesses I have. And I think this. I had also internal struggles like being a teacher as an indigenous people's teacher or IP teacher. I had also these internal struggles whether uh, I have questions to myself whether I need to continue this, I need to continue that. What if there are other people who are not supportive or people who are bashing, people who are telling me that I am using my being indigenous to just to my own advantage, some sort of that. And so these are comments coming from other people that I think also affect me. But it's as a person and going back always to my Igtaman name, to my indigenous name, that I should do something so that later on I could serve my community and give back. Uh, the favors that I have been receiving, and that makes me motivated again. Third is regarding my advocacy from my being a teacher to my community work. I have to also be positive. I have to think positive because based on the sharing also of Jim, we both experience also scarcity of resources. For example, facilities are not well provided. But again, I need to go back to my core, to my values, to our values as a community, that we can survive all this if we just work together and activate our being creative, innovative, because I once said that if you're really a teacher, especially an IP teacher, you need really to be more creative and more innovative in order to hurdle any challenges that you have, especially scarcity of resources. And lastly, Miss Jamie and the rest of my fellow ambassadors and all our virtual participants, our teachers, all the Filipino teachers out there, we need to um, be aware of our own roots and our own identity because through knowing well ourselves, that is the source of our own empowerment. And we cannot empower others if we will not first empower ourselves. Thank you, Miss Jamie.
Miss Maylie?
Yeah, so thank you po, Dr. Jesus Ensolada for that answer. Indeed, being a teacher is an inspiring job.
Mhm.
Even being a teacher itself is an advocacy. Okay po, for the next question, given that everyone has gathered here today, and I think everyone is curious about this, especially our audience. Um, we may we know, uh, throughout your different teaching journey from different backgrounds, as Dr. Jesus said, how exactly did you know about the Global Teacher Prize? So may I call on Sir Windel to answer that question po.
Okay po, ma'am. So sa akin po personally, yung Global Teacher Prize talaga hindi ko pa po alam kung ano yung mga process. But ang nag-inspire talaga sa akin, simula pa si Sir Ryan Oman. So siya po nagbigay sa akin ng anong mga tips na, kasi nasabi niya sa akin na, Sir Wendy, nakikita ko sa'yo yung potential na maging GTP finalist. So dun sa sinabi niya, kasi isa siya sa mga finalist na rin, sinabi niya sa akin, doon ako naghugot na sana, sabi ko, tulungan mo ako kung ano yung mga tips na kailangan. And then nag-search din ako ng mga past GTP finalists, si Sir Jim and Sir Gis and Ma'am Venus. Sabi ko, yung mga ginagawa niya talaga ng mga GTP finalists, talagang mga ano yan, mga beyond their call of duty, beyond the mandate of the department. So yun po, because of Sir Ryan, yan, I was inspired para maging isang GTP finalist. Thank you, Sir Ryan.
Yes. Si Sir Ryan na naging messenger at angel for Sir Windel. Yun naman talaga ang role ng mga GTP ambassadors, no? Talagang to produce another GTP ambassador, di ba, Sir Jim?
Yeah, I think that's the main reason why we're
Kaya
here.
I would like to recognize Sir Jim being my mentor.
Yeah, thank you. Siguro I want to share also how I started with this. Being the first Filipino teacher, I had the pleasure of meeting Director Marge and our beloved secretary in Dubai. After how did I get to know? I had a friend who was in social media, and there were advertisements about this. I thought that it was a scam because my idea was that sino ba ang taong magbibigay ng 1 million US dollar for a teacher? Well, in fact, parang sa society kasi natin minsan, yung teacher naman, di ba, let's just be honest, minsan yung teacher, it's hindi siya ganon ka-celebrated. Right? I try to ask if you have a kid right now, if they say, kung may anak kayo at sinabi nila magiging teacher sila, I've heard a lot of parents who would say, wag kang maging teacher kasi walang pera doon. Walang ganito, ganyan. Or hindi ka magaling sa math. Or hindi ka magaling sa math, hindi ka pwedeng accounting, mag-teacher ka na lang. But usually yung mga naririnig natin about the teacher, sobrang sad.
Yes,
I feel
yes.
sad about it, but that's the reality. But I thank Director Marge, ICO, and DepEd because of the Global Teacher Prize, we are able to celebrate. Yun nga parang yung tagline natin. We celebrate and elevate every teaching profession. As the first one, I had the honor to spread the word together with Director Marge. I had also the honor to mentor Jesus, Ryan, Venus. Windel could have been my mentee, pero because of the pandemic, we were not able to fly to Dubai or to London, kung saan man. But I had the honor of mentoring everyone. To be honest also, si Windel, si Jesus, si Venus, si Ryan, sila ay mga Metrobank Outstanding Teacher, mga Bato Balani teacher. When I was nominated, siguro to give inspiration to everyone, when I was nominated, it was my 6th year of teaching. It was my 6th year of my teaching, and the only award that I had was the Xavier School Junior Faculty Outstanding Teacher Award. I never knew about Metrobank. I never knew about Bato Balani. It's just that my co-teacher believed in what I was doing, and because they see that I am really passionate about technology. So for those out there, it helps that you have, awards like Dr. Jesus, Dr. Venus, Wendell, and Ryan. But if you really have someone in there who's really, really good, di ba? It doesn't stop us from nominating them, right?
Mhm.
So that's my
Mhm.
story of how I got to know GTP. It's really just about knowing from the internet and from my friend.
Mhm. Yeah. Based sa sharing ni Sir Jim, totoo naman ang mga sinasabi niya. But then, may mga ginagawa na tayo ngayon to highlight and feature the achievement of teachers at paunti-unti, mababago na rin natin yung pagtingin natin ng society sa ating mga teachers. Ang story ko naman regarding sa GTP journey ko, I think everyone would agree with me if I say na when we joined the GTP, parang it's one way rin na to console ourselves, 'di ba? Na that we have started already eh. Marami na tayong mga nagawa. And then when we nominate as a teacher, for example, parang consolation niya ito or parang reward natin sa hard work na ipinakita niya in the past years. And it does not matter, no, kahit 6 years, 10 years. Kasi yung iba, Sir Jim, naririnig ko nagwo-worry, no, 5 years pa lang ako, 6 years pa lang ako, I have not, they would say I have not yet proven something. But then there's really no harm, no, in subjecting ourselves to this, like the GTP, and letting others nominate us. In my case, I started kasi from our school's division. Meron tayong mga search for outstanding teachers in our school's divisions, di ba? I think mahalaga sa akin ang paniniwala ko ha. I don't want to argue with Sir Jim. But it's very important to start then from the lower level. I mean, we need to harvest, no, parang nag-harvest na kasi tayo when we joined the GTP no mga past na mga nagawa natin. So parang ano ko rin, parang piece of advice ko rin sa mga teachers na nakikinig sa ngayon na we're not doing this just for recognition, and but here comes a GTP na parang merong platform to share and highlight our stories. But then it's very important that all this comes naturally now. So ang advice ko na simulan natin sa ating sariling school, sa mga ginagawa natin, then eventually that will be captured kapag maganda mga ginagawa natin. Then mag-elevate siya sa division kapag nagbibigay ng mga recognition sa atin. Then we are very grateful naman. And then we have other award giving bodies in the country here. Parang other people would say na parang hinahakot yun ng mga awards, something like. But I look at it, no, na parang it's one way also to sharing our stories, because in my own case, my success is also the success of my school and the success of my community. If we are lifting one another, if we are highlighting each other's accomplishments, it means that we are um, grateful with the support. We acknowledge the support of one another, and this award is not just for a one specific teacher, but for his or her school, his or her community, and the whole Department of Education. In the case of the Department of Education Philippines. So, so sa akin, nagsimula siya sa baba, tapos na-recognize tayo, tapos eventually, kasi ang storya nun, ang pinaka mataas kong narating kapag pag-usapan na natin ng mga accomplishments and achievements ay nung naisama tayo sa Princess Machakri Award sa Southeast Asia, Outstanding Teachers in Southeast Asia. At doon, naging confident na kami. At gusto ko ring special mention na importante ito mga angels natin, yung mga ang support system natin. And in my case, I'm very grateful to my past principals, school teachers who believed in me, who have been believing in me, especially Dr. Susan Severino, our HRDD supervisor in the DepEd Regional Office, na talagang nag-push sa akin. Sabi niya, you can really make it in the Princess Machakri Award. And after noon, parang automatic na, because I won in the Princess Machakri Award, parang we were confident enough to enter the Global Teacher Prize.
Yes.
Ang galing ng story ni
So,
Dr. Jess. Ako
ayun.
naman po, talagang Hakot Award. Okay. Yung sa akin naman
Yes.
po, iba, no?
Congrats.
Iba yung
Congrats,
story.
Regis.
Talagang congrats, Hakot
Pero
Award yan si
actually,
Sir.
napaka-humble lang yan ni Doc Venus at ni Ryan Homan. Pero mga Hakot Awards King and Queen yan sila. Ayaw lang nilang aminin. Civil service, Bato Balani, di ba, Doc Venus? Sorry, Doc Venus. We now continue.
Okay, so yung akin naman po, iba rin po yung story ko. Sobrang madrama po kung paano ko po nalaman yung tungkol sa Global Teacher Prize. Siguro po by accident and by fate po yung pagkakasali ko sa GTP. Because I have learned about GTP when I was at the lowest point of my life po. Yun po, in 2018, I lost my baby when I was attending the semi-final interview of the search for outstanding Filipinos. So pag uwi ko sa bahay, wala na po yung baby ko. Doon po siya nawala talaga. Then during that time, I was very depressed. I thought I would go crazy. Para na akong maloloka noon. I spent my evenings crying because I could not cry during the day kasi po ang mama ko ay high blood. I have to face my students. I have to face my elder daughter who is also drawing her strength from me. So, yun po, every night, I browse my Facebook. Then one night, meron po akong nakita sa newsfeed na sabi doon, 1 day to go to nominate for the Global Teacher Prize. Then, sabi ko, ano ba itong Global Teacher Prize? So, I scanned the webpage of GTP and then there I saw the story of Dr. Jess and Sir Ryan. So, sabi ko, totoo siguro to. Kasi una, sabi ko, ano ba to? Scam ba to? Gaya ng sabi ni Sir Jim na who on earth would give $1 million to teachers? So, kaya nag-research ako ano yung nandito. So, nakita ko yung story ng dalawang idols, no? Si Sir Jesus at si Sir Ryan. And then sabi ko, sasali rin ako. So, then, I accomplished the nomination link the entire night while I was crying. Iyak ako ng iyak pero type ako ng type ng story, di ba? Mas madrama yung naging story ko doon na ina-enter.
Yes.
So, kaya yun.
Pinaghugutan.
May pinaguhugutan talaga. So, I finished it the whole night. And after a month, so I received an email from Varkey Foundation asking about additional details about my advocacy. Then another email was sent for an interview, sa Skype interview. Then finally, became one of the 50 finalists sa GTP. So, yun po yung aking story kung paano po ako nakasali sa GTP. So, siguro yun po ay message ni God na stop crying dahil hindi pa tapos ang lahat. So, may pag-asa pa. Nawalan man po ako ng baby, at least marami po akong nai-inspire through Global Teacher Prize at nakita ko po na hindi pa po katapusan ng lahat. So may pag-asa pong bumangon at naging instrumento po ang GTP para po makita ko yung pag-asa na bumangon at maka-smile muli. So yun po.
Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you po, Dr. Venus. How about po, Sir Ryan? Total, nasabi po nila naman kami na-inspire sila sa inyo po.
Wow. Nakakataba ng puso na marami din tayong na-inspire. Pero sa akin, yung way back 2017, June 2022, I received an email from Vecas Pota. Sir Jim, how do you pronounce that?
Hota.
So the team told me that I have to join the nomination process, and I ignored that for 1 month kasi I can't believe that this is true. I asked my wife, is it true that there is somebody or organization that will give $1 million? So binalikan ko ulit yung email ko, yung cellphone ko. What if itry ko? Sabi ko, itry ko nga. And then, in-accomplish ko po yung nomination link. Ang dami pa lang mga proseso. Hindi naman ako IT na magaling sa computer, but I asked assistance from my wife. And yun po, after a month, I received an email again from Miss Rebecca. They
Yeah.
informed me that uh, they will set an interview with Skype. So I downloaded some YouTube video from YouTube about the language, how they pronounce, how they speak. Di ba yung taga London, iba yung
The
ano nila,
British accent.
yung accent. So ganun na lang po. And ang challenging doon, nakatira kasi ako sa bundok. Bumababa ako ng town para lang makipag-internet. Twice kasi akong
Mhm.
nag-interview with Miss Rebecca. So yun po.
Mm.
Ang hirap pala kapag hindi ka sanay doon sa ganong interview. And finally, last December, I received again email that I belong to the top 50 finalists. Pero before that, I've been reading the story of Jim Toscano. Thank you, Jim,
Mhm.
because you inspired me. You also coached me on how to do these things and going to Dubai. And of course, thankful ako sa DepEd
At tayong
kasi
magkasama, Sir Ryan,
ang
magka-ano
galing
tayo,
kasi
magka-batch.
si Sir Jesus, kami yung from DepEd na first na nakapasok. Kasi Sir Jim
Tayong
pala yung
taon,
private.
yes.
Ano
Tayo
po?
tayong dalawa tayo
Opo,
yung nakaano sa dalawa sa isang taon, no?
sa
Tayo 'yon.
isang taon.
Dalawa
Opo.
sa isang taon.
And as until now actually hindi pa ako makapaniwala na nag nag ano nag 3 years ago na pala yung pagpa-Dubai natin. Pero ang galing lang kasi yung hirap ng mga teachers na appreciate ng ibang mga tao, ng mga organizations.
Mhm.
Kasi tayo naman bilang isang teacher, we are doing this because we love our jobs, we love our
Yeah.
kindred, we love our community. So ako kasi bilang first teacher ng community namin at binigyan ako ng slot ni Dr. Landagan kasi hindi naman ako pasado sa entrance
Mhm.
test. It is my way of giving back then. And I never expect na I will be one of the awardees. That's why I continue to do what is good for others. It because
Mhm.
I love sharing, I love serving people. And of course, kayo din po, ganun din po yung nararamdaman natin ngayon. And now, thank you International Cooperation Office and of course to our lovely director, Dr. Marge Ballesteros
Yes, yes.
for all the opportunities. Alam mo po, Ma'am Marge, doon sa mga invitation last 2 years ago, doon na-develop yung self-confidence ko sa pagharap sa mga tao. Yung, kasi halos buwan-buwan may Global Teacher Prize Forum. Yun lang. Thankful ako sa inyo pong lahat, sa lahat-lahat na po ng tao. Thank you.
You know, makabagbag damdamin ang sharing ni paring Ryan, no? Pare namin yan si Ryan, napakagaling yan. Zanjo Marodo ng group. You know, gusto ko lang sabihin Miss Jamie and the rest of the ambassadors na napakaganda ng sharing ni Sir Ryan because diretso kasi, no? Diretsong nalaman niya mula sa Varky Foundation. So, ibig sabihin nun, kapag magandang ginagawa mo, people will nominate you without you knowing it. So, yun yung magandang nangyari kay Sir Ryan. So, sa mga pwedeng mag-nominate yan, so hinihintay natin, mag-nominate na tayo ng mga outstanding teachers, no, sa ating
Yes,
community, sa ating
dapat. Actually,
places.
may kasama na ako dito, outstanding teacher in Sorsogon.
Yes.
May nominee kami sa Sorsogon.
Yes. Wow. Laging umarangkada ang Sorsogon.
Yes.
Pero hindi pa tatalo. Ang Iloilo na nariyan ng ating GTP Outstanding Teachers Circle of Iloilo. Gusto kong mag-hi sa kanila. Nandyan din ang ating siyam na outstanding students na member ng Outstanding Student Circle ng Schools Division of Iloilo. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.
Yan. Siyempre po, last but not the least, Sir Windel, ano pong naging story ninyo on how did you know about the GTP?
Yung sabi ko po kanina, ma'am, na una ko nalaman tungkol kay Sir Ryan, siya talaga yung nag-push sa akin na kasi sabi niya nakita
Yes.
sa akin yung potential. And then, during advocacy forum nila, sina Sir Jess, Sir Ryan, isa ako sa mga participants ng kanilang forum sa Naga. Kaya nga, may picture
Yeah.
kaming tatlo niyan with Mark. Sabi niya, yun na pala parang ano yan, calling na magi akong isang ambassador. So sila yung mga lucky charm ko during that time. And also siyempre si Mark, Director Mars. Si Director
Natanong na po pala kayo kanina, sir. Sorry.
Opo. Okay lang po. Salamat po.
So next question po. Siguro iba to natin to kay iba to talaga. Kay siguro kay Dr. Venus po. Ano po yung what are the advocacies and projects that you think help you to become a GTP finalist po?
Okay po. Thank you po sa question. So, actually, there are 3 passion projects po that served as my key to the Global Teacher Prize. One is the use of strategic intervention materials, or SIM, which is used to address the problems of large classes, specifically on low mastery, absenteeism of students, and then improving their performance in science classes. Then the second project is the environmental advocacy that we are promoting in school every year. Since I am the science coordinator, every year we are including as part of our activity ang mga community, mga environmental projects like seaside cleaning, community cleanup. We do tree planting and mangrove planting. Yun po. At saka, as science teacher, isinasali ko po palagi sa performance task ng learners ang project on how they could decrease their consumption sa water and electricity. So yun po, part yung environmental advocacy sa nakatulong. And the third one is yung community project po, wherein I am conducting reading sessions with my neighbors, yung mga maliliit na bata. I also lead in conducting community cleanup sa aming community na kung sino po yung sumasali sa cleanup every month, ako po yung nagbibigay ng snacks. So yun po, kaya marami po ang naiinganyo na sumali. So I think yun po yung mga nakatulong sa akin. Dahil po sa mga advocacy, maliban po sa Global Teacher Prize, una pong nakapansin ng effort ko ay ang Department of Science and Technology. Sabi nga ni Sir Jess kanina, magsimula ka sa mababang recognition. So yun pong nagsimula po ako sa division office sa SIM na contest. So lahat po na ito ay pinagpapasalamat ko sa aking principal dahil po si Ma'am Maria Luisa Goyano, siya po talaga yung nag-push sa akin na gumawa ng SIM. So mula po sa division, nakasali po ako sa national, hanggang na-recognize ng DOST, nakasali sa iba't ibang competition, hanggang sa umabot po ako sa Global Teacher Prize. So yun po yung mga projects na talagang nakatulong para po ma-recognize ako. Thank you po.
Wow, Dr. Venus, thank you for that. Sige po, next, maybe Sir Ryan could answer then po, what are your, I know you have lots of projects and yung advocacies po ninyo, but for the benefit of our viewers and audience, yun, you could share something po, Sir Ryan.
Okay po, so these are the things that made me to become one of the Global Teacher Prize ambassadors. Doon kasi sa sinulat ko na accomplishment reports, I was the only teacher who initiated to reopen a community or school that was closed for 11 years due to lack of enrollment, armed conflict, kaya walang nasaraduhan yung school. So I volunteered myself to be a volunteer. Walang sweldo for 1 year. Kumukuha ako ng pera sa tatay ko lang, siya yung nagpo-provide. So sinabi ko doon na we put up a kubo to be home. And after that, finally na-recognize ng DepEd yung school and existing na siya for 13 years now. And after that, I transferred to San Jose. This is my own community. Ganoon din, multi-grade setup din siya. We were only three teachers that time. So, maraming challenges din. Kasi ako yung unang teacher doon na na-assign. Nandun yung passion ko, yung gusto kong makatulong talaga. Kasi, sarili mong community. Tapos, nakita ko na ang San Jose, isa sa mga maraming mga non-readers, drop out ng mga kulang na mga facilities. So inuna kong kinausap yung mga parents, officials. In-introduce ko na ang San Jose daw ay isa sa mga nagpo-promote ng mga grade 7 or grade 6 na mga non-readers. Na-challenge po ako noon. Kaya po, nakapag-implement ako ng project na tawag dito, home-based learning centers. Ginawa namin classroom yung mga bahay ng mga magulang. Tapos yung mga magulang, ginawa namin nanay teacher volunteers. Pero for that, tinrain namin sila on how to teach their own kids basic writing, basic reading strategies, sa mathematics, in other learning areas para haharap sila sa mga bata. Confident din sila na magturo sa sarili nilang anak. Remember, sa paniniwala natin na education begins at home, kaya na-convince ko ang mga parents until now. Hindi ko na-expect na time will come pala, perfect program sa pandemic kasi sa bahay mag-aaral yung mga anak. Tama?
Yes.
Sabi ko, since
Parang naputol si Sir Ryan.
Yes. I
Pero
think
parang
nawala pa
napakaganda ng kanyang mga ginagawa kasi before pa dumating ang pandemic, parang handang-handa na siya sa kanilang school or sa kanilang district dahil sa kanyang passion project na home-based learning centers.
And also the nanay teachers din po, Sir Jess, just to share.
Yes.
I can call myself nanay teacher na because, like with the pandemic and the online classes. So, ayun, nawala si Sir Ryan. So maybe we could hear from Sir Jim with your cat.
Di ko po pusa
Sa'yo
yun.
ba yun? Sa'yo ba yun, Sir Jim?
Hindi, tumalon siya sa akin kasi narinig niya na may pusa.
Parang gustong sumali,
From the kay Ryan ata yun. So, nagising yung pusa ko.
Ay, parang nagkarinigan ba sila?
Kasi nasa tabi ko lang natutulog yung kanina. Anyway, so, in terms of passion project, I think during the GTP, my focus was really on exploring technology. We know that in the Philippines, so this was 2013. So, yung school ko kasi naggumagamit na ng technology for almost 10 years. So, matagal na kami nag-experiment sa technology, pero sa high school noon. So, when I was given the chance to experiment with my grade 4 students in 2013 and 2014, I took the chance. Siguro I can also attribute to technology. Isa sa mga rason kung ba't hindi ako umalis sa school dahil na-in love ako sa technology. I've been always in love with technology, so kahit nung bata ako. My passion project right now, siguro just to share, I still continue, I still talk about technology. I train teachers on technology. I lead my school when we are doing online distance learning. So, kasama sa trabaho ko yun. Wala na akong hinahawakan na klase kasi I lead a department, 2 departments in my school. Tapos we train teachers on technology. Siguro yung passion project ko right now, it's really more of a personal advocacy to celebrate every teacher. So that's why you have Empower Ed. So what the passion projects that I have right now really stems from my own passion in the classroom. So I love technology. I love empowering students. Siguro yung pinaka-recent, because I love working with pedagogical approaches. Kasi yun yung talagang sinabi ko sa sarili ko na hindi ko gagawin. Kasi nung bata ako, inantok ako sa teacher ko. Nung college ako, inantok ako sa professor ko. Hindi ko gagawin yun sa mga students ko. Kasi alam ko noon nung bata ako, hindi nga ako nakikinig. So ayaw kong gawin yun sa akin ng mga students ko. 'Di ba? So what I do right now is to discover pedagogical approaches like project-based learning, design thinking. 2 years ago before the pandemic, we started with our own makerspace. Ang makerspace po namin, it's like a laboratory. We call it a collaboratory where students pursue their passion project. Siguro isa sa mga, one of the things that I'm thankful for in my school is that tinuruan kami na hindi maging traditional teacher at maging innovators. Sa school namin, yung school namin really loves innovation. So we explore a lot of innovative practices. Actually, we welcome a lot of teachers kasi they also observe. Our school, before the pandemic, we welcome 50 plus school leaders or division office leaders and education supervisors from Batak City when they were doing benchmarking. So we welcome actually. So one of the things that we do really is to promote our own classroom innovations. So my work right now, so siguro tinatanong na may iba, nung naging GTP ako, teacher ako sa classroom. That's where I started. Sabi ka ni Jesus and Venus, if there were things, if I were to contextualize the idea of starting sa baba, it's really because my experience is really in the classroom. That's where really I found myself. Right now, I have a leadership position in the school where I teach, but I always connect with what's happening in the classroom. That's why I work with schools. Other than siguro right now, I am proud to say that I also work with schools. So I encourage every teacher to pursue their passion. It's not official, but we usually want all our teachers to have passion projects. So siguro kanina sinasabi ni Jesus, Ryan na mentor ako sa kanila. Ayan, si Ryan talaga may pusa. Siguro yung sinasabi nila kanina na I mentor them, it's basically my work right now in my school. And even with other schools that invite me, I mentor them because parang we can only empower our students if we empower and mentor our teachers. So parang lahat ata kami ngayon may leadership position, nasa leadership position. And I know that my fellow ambassadors know that experience, that we need to empower every teacher right now.
Tama.
Thank you, Sir Jim. Very inspiring. No? Like we have to empower ourselves then and also other people.
Yeah.
So maybe we could hear from Sir Wendell. Sir Wendell. Mukhang wala po yung internet ni Sir Wendell. So, Sir Jess, kayo po, we would like to hear from you po.
Nasaan kaya si Sir Wendell? I love his place. Karamihan nakikita ko lang sa Facebook.
Ayan, he's in.
Ayan.
Nandun ba siya? Nandun ba siya sa isla?
Hello.
Okay, Sir Wendell, you may proceed po.
Hello po, Sir Jess. Okay. Nag-start po yung mga fashion ko sa programs and project para makilala ng GT2. Yung mag-open ako ng testing center in Karamuan, serving 3 towns in the nearby barangays or municipalities. So simula doon, marami na yung passers ng alternative learning system. And then kami yung, for the 4 years kami yung nag-top 1 in our division dito sa aming Karamuan. And nung kasi Karamuan is an island barangays, so isa sa mga challenges namin yung pagpunta sa mga isla and coastal barangay. So doon nagsimula yung project namin na Pangkarunungan. Pangkarunungan it is a mobile learning center na kung saan donated ito ng Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation na ang purpose namin ay idala yung edukasyon sa mga bahay ng aming mga learners. So kami yung pumupunta imbis na yung iba. So yun po yung nagsimula yung mga project namin sa adapted community ko in situ Lipata. Doon because of Bangkarunungan, mayroon na mga thirst is real, yung Solar Scholar project na serving the few fields in the island na walang mga kuryente at mga schooling na bag na binibigay namin sa mga estudyante. At isa sa malaking impact ng Bangkarunungan ay yung magkaroon kami ng school. Nag-open kami ng elementary school in one of the islands that is in situ Lipata. And last Monday lang, nabigyan ng school ID ng Department of Education. So doon, sobrang thankful ako na sa 4 na taon na paghihintay namin, nagkaroon na, very emotional ako nung ma-receive ko yung school ID kasi doon na magsisimula yung time na mararating yung mabibigyan na kayo ng mga resources from the national government. Kasi nung wala pang school ID, lahat lang mga partners at stakeholder yung nag-provide sa amin. Kaya maraming salamat sa Department of Education. Pangarap namin na kala namin hindi na matupad ay nangyari na because of the school ID. Maraming salamat.
Congratulations, Sir Wendell.
Congrats, Sir Wendell.
Yun. Yun, we have comments from our viewers, no? You empower ourselves so we can produce an empowered student. Galing.
Wow.
Wow. And then kanina we have a comment yung passion project daw. It's he liked the idea and hopefully si Mr. John Roy, you can make a passion project for yourself. Ayun. So we proceed. Sir Jess.
Okay. So sa narinig natin na sharing ng mga ambassadors, makikita natin ang clarity no ng kanilang mga ginagawa. So ibig sabihin ang mga passion projects natin ay hindi lamang natin basta-basta lamang ginagawa, kung umuugat ito sa ating konteksto, sa needs. So iba-iba tayo dito, nakikita natin yung diversity pero ang contribution ng bawat isa ay napakahalaga sa ating mga schools, sa ating mga communities. Halimbawa, Sir Ryan, sa literacy, si Ma'am Venus, interventions naman sa science. So nagbibigay tayo ng hint sa ating mga teachers na nakikinig sa ngayon na ito yung mga passion projects na pwede natin gawin. Ako, for example, ako naman sa empowering indigenous communities. Si Sir Wendell sa ALS. Si Sir Jim naman ay sa ICT. So, iba-iba. Parang iba-iba tayo, no? Ngayon ko lang nakikita. Pero we have common goals, of course, in the name of education. Sa akin naman, when I joined the GTP, ang aking passion project ay culture-based and inclusive education. Paano ito nabuo? I think may mahaba siyang journey kung paano siya humantong sa ganong katawagan or sa ganong specific na passion project. Kasi when I started teaching, nung mga ilang taon ko sa pagtuturo, syempre I'm aware na that I am an indigenous person, no? A member of the indigenous cultural community. Doon umiinog ang mga ginagawa ko. Pero when I joined the Batubal Foundation in 2013, hindi ko pa na-realize na ito palang mga ginagawa ko. Kasi yung Batubala ni Ma'am Venus and the Sir Ryan, no? And Sir Wendell, parang silang nagbibigay ng titulo or brand sa atin, no, ng mga honorees nila. In my case, silang yung nagsabi na, Sir Jesus, ito pala ang mga ginagawa mo, but parang hindi ako aware na parang ginagawa ko talaga ito for a specific competition or search. Parang itong ginagawa kasi nga ito ang need, ito ang konteksto, ito ang kailangan. So sila ang nagsabi na when they gave me the title preserver of culture through writing, kasi parang sa writing talaga ako nagsimula. I have published already creative works sa Manila Bulletin and other platforms. Kaya sila ang nagsabi na ito pala ang ginagawa mo. So that gave me an idea na gawin na siyang parang advocacy project or passion project. Kasi yun naman talaga ang passion ko. Aside from, of course, teaching, hindi nawala yun. Kasi I had been attending talks and seminars also and trainings on culture-based education at hindi na ito bago, hindi original at hindi na rin bago sa atin. No? Especially very applicable sa ating mga schools with the IP learners, schools located in indigenous cultural communities. Kaya para kaya after those engagements and projects, parang naging clear na rin sa akin na ito ang ginagawa ko. And then I was able to create my own pyramid of personal advocacy na binubuo ng mga ginagawa ko or advocacy projects on being a classroom teacher, then as a researcher and as a writer, and then as a culture advocate. So ganon.
Yun. Thank you, Sir Jess. And nakikita niyo yung mga comments sa ilalim and somebody mentioned na Toto Jess Ensilada, no? Believe daw siya sa'yo, sir. And then one comment
Thank you.
also, we have ang ganda ng idea ng passion project. And we're really happy to hear that our audience are being inspired with all your passion projects. So now, Miss Meili, you have another question for our GTP ambassadors.
Yes, meron pa actually. So, next na question for our ambassadors. How did becoming a GTP Prize finalist change you and the way you perceive teaching and learning? Start po tayo kay Sir Jim.
Thank you for that wonderful question. Siguro after GTP, because I have a very different way into looking at things. When I flew to Dubai, I didn't really know what was happening or what was going to happen. My mentor then before was Mark Reed. So he's a very special, close friend of GTP Philippines.
Yes.
He's from Canada. And when I was there, I didn't really know what's going to happen. But one thing that I love about being there was I met friends like Mark Reed, Nadia Lopez, who just called me a while ago to greet me. I met Armand. I met a lot of amazing teachers. It widens your horizon. In the end, only one will win, right? Only one will win. But for me, being part of the GTP community was already a way of winning the competition because I got to connect with a lot of people. I mean, I got to connect with big people in the education community around the world. Artists, performers, entertainers, policymakers. It widens my horizon because my world before was only my school, my Xavier school. But when I was there, it was a big jump for me. That inspired me to pursue what I really want. So GTP was a stepping stone for me to widen my horizon, to widen my connection, and to focus on what I really want to do in my work as a teacher. Because of that, I think that GTP changed the way I see things. Changed the way, if before I was only thinking about how can I help my students do better, how can I empower them. The GTP widened my horizon into the bigger teaching community, bigger teacher community. Like what I've said a while ago, my mother is a teacher, my sisters are teachers in public schools in Abra. I have a lot of relatives. Basically, I have relatives who are in the teaching profession. And we see how important for us to form a big, strong community, right, as teachers. so that we can celebrate each other, so that we can help each other. In the end, I think GTP was more than a competition. I never saw it as a competition for me. Of course, kakabahan ka kung makakapasok ka ng top 10 or ikaw yung mananalo or whatever. But in every year that I've joined the Global Teacher Prize conference in Dubai, the most important thing for me was to connect to people and to appreciate them. So, like in the Philippines, we have a very small community, so that's why we're asking you to nominate more. Um, a few months ago, a few weeks ago, I flew virtually to DepEd Surigao City because I was with Dr. Venus. So that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
collaboration, Jesus and I had been working on a lot of collaboration on giving virtual forums. We've been working on bringing in amazing teachers from
And you
different
went to my
parts
school
of the world.
once.
Yes. So, in the end, the Global Teacher Prize, kahit isa yung nananalo, in the end, the biggest prize really is the whole community. I do remember that yung nanalo sa year namin, si Maggie, very very close friend, Maggie McDonald in 2017, she mentioned that the best prize of the Global Teacher Prize is really the community that is formed among everyone there. So that's how my life was changed. It was really more of how now I use this to help empower. Kaya po siguro yung Empower Ed po ay yun po yung personal passion project ko na po that is beyond my school. So
Mhm,
that's really for me. The idea of empowering everyone so that we can celebrate each other.
mhm.
So, thank you po, Sir Jim. Next naman po, Sir Ryan Homan po. Sir, naka-mute ka po.
This journey as Global Teacher Prize Ambassador, it brings me to different places. It boosts my confidence. I meet a lot of people. I connect with different NGOs and stakeholders to support my passion projects, uh, local and international partnerships. And that's why I sustain my projects here in Dunsol. And I would like to commend also the first NGO who helped me to support my passion project was Intervida Philippines or Educo Foundation. They were the first organization who recognized our effort in literacy here in Bicol, and then they also supported me to until to the Global Teacher Prize. Even yung national director ng Educo sumama sa Dubai, and until now they continue to support my passion. Yun po, maraming pangyayari na ano po sa sarili ko, nagkaroon ako ng confidence sa career ko, nagkaroon ako ng automatic promotion na hindi po ako dumaan sa pag-exam ng NAIAP or principal's test. Kaya thankful po ako na sa lahat ng mga tao, especially dito sa SDO Sorsogon under the leadership of our Superintendent Sir Toots Jose Doncillo at yung supervisor namin. And ito yung opportunity pala na pwede kang makapag-infect ng maraming virus of inspiration. As kumbaga yung bibitawan mong salita ay maraming maniniwala, maraming gagawa din ng sarili nilang pangalan at sa kanilang community. Ngayon lang, kumbaga maraming naniwala kasi nga doon sa sa naging Global Teacher Prize tayo, malaking din po impact din. Na until now ay we're still harvesting the fruits of sacrifices, of labors and passion. And of course, nagawa natin yun because of the gift of God, the talents, yung puso natin. And we always look forward for more success and partnerships with different people around the globe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ryan. And here, Dr. Venus.
Gusto makisali ng ano, ng aso.
From pusa to aso, no? Okay. So, sa akin naman, personally, sa GTP experience ko po, I am reminded of kung nakapanood po tayo ng Rocky Balboa movie, sabi ni Sylvester Stallone doon, going in one more round when you don't think you can, that what's make all the difference in your life. Kasi had I not taken the chance during the darkest moment of my life, I think I would not be able to stand and smile again. So because of GTP, sabi po ni Sir Ryan, no, naka-gain ng confidence, ganun din po ako. Because of Global Teacher Prize, I was able to find hope. I see the lighter side of life. And I was able to gain confidence. Kasi after GTP po, a lot of opportunities had been opened. So, yun po, doon na po ako, nakilala ko po si Director Marge at ang ICO team. Na-meet ko po si Secretary Liling doon sa Dubai. I also met a lot of very inspiring educators, lalong-lalo na po itong aking mga idol na nababasa ko lang po sa Facebook, nababasa ko lang sa different websites, nakita ko na po talaga sila ng personal at na-meet ko po na sobrang nakaka-inspire po talaga sila. I was able to go with them sa different parts of the Philippines to inspire teachers. Maraming recognition po ang sumunod. Nandun na po ang Batubalani, meron din pong Gokong Way Foundation Hero Teacher. So parang ano po siya, susi na nagbukas ng maraming opportunity. So kaya at ngayon po naging education program supervisor na po ako ng aming division. I think malaking tulong din po ang recognition na ibinigay ng Global Teacher Prize dahil po isa rin po siya sa naging daan. So, and all of this started when GTP recognized me being one of the best teachers of the world. And it just proves po that when we give our heart to our craft, when we give our service beyond our call of duty, somewhere, somehow, di man po tayo agad ma-recognize sa ibang level, pero meron po talagang makaka-recognize ng efforts natin. So, meron pong tamang panahon at tamang lugar kung saan po mare-recognize yung ating mga ginagawa. And that if we give our best to the world will also give its best to us. So yun po yung aking talagang hugot from my GTP experience po.
Nice, Dr. Venus. I like that, no?
Maganda.
And also with the Rocky Balboa quote na yung going one round, parang it's like it's saying na never quit, no? So thank you for that, Dr. Venus. Really inspiring. And also, can we hear from Sir Wendell? Sir Wendell.
Hello po, Ma'am Jamie. Good afternoon again. So sa akin po, yan, being one of the top 50 finalists, talagang is an honor kasi ang represent natin dito, hindi lang sarili natin, but buong bansa. So, isa itong inspiration or isa itong opportunity na marinig natin yung mga great stories, insights, and contribution ng iba't ibang mga teacher sa iba't ibang bansa. So indeed, being one of the GPT finalists give me the opportunity and courage to speak. Kasi hindi naman ako, isa sa mga weakness ko talaga yung magsalita in front of the people. Kasi ang para sa akin na pwede pang trabaho na lang, wala nang salita. Pero sabi nung mga nag-invite sa akin na you have to inspire para mas marami pang maging katulad mo. So yun ang nagbigay ng inspiration sa akin para yan i-accept yung mga invitation bilang isang resource speaker. So sa akin personally, parang hindi pa rin ako makapaniwala na bilang isang ALS mobile teacher kasi yung alternative learning system hindi mas pa masyadong kilala. More on
Mm.
formal pa kasi yung mga na-nominate. And then, dahil doon, yung nangyari sa GTP na sabi ng mga kasama ko sa ALS na itaas yung kanilang dignidad, hindi lang ng mga ALS teacher, pati na rin yung mga estudyante namin sa alternative learning system. So, isa pa yung mga blessing na dumating sa community, although hindi para sa atin, kailang bilang isa sa best teacher, malaki yung trust at paniniwala sa atin na ibigay yung mga ano yung mga resources na kailangan ng community. Ano ba yung mga resources na kailangan mo para sa mga bata? So yun ang opportunity na hindi na ibibigay sa ibang mga classroom teacher kasi mataas yung pagtingin sa atin ng ating mga kapwa guro dito, lalo dito sa ating bansa. Kaya pasalamat ko na isa ako sa mga naging guro. Pasalamat ako na kay Director Marge at sa lahat ng mga foundation at partners, lalong-lalo na ang Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation na kung saan hindi nila ako iniwan. Simula nung mag-implement sila ng project hanggang sa ngayon at marami pang mga darating mga project because of the Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation and the Department of Education. So sa aming Director Gilbert Salsad at sa aming SDS, Ma'am Loida, and the rest of the DepEd officials, sobrang pasalamat po ako kasi kahit wala pa kaming MOA, binibigyan niya kami ng suporta. At ngayon na meron na kami school IT, continue na yung mga resources na makikita o maririnig o marireceive ng aming mga estudyante. Maraming salamat sa opportunity na maging Global Teacher Prize Ambassador.
Thank you, Sir Windel. And I know, tulad po nung nag-share with the comment, she said na it's very, he said pala or he, I don't know, it's very hard to be an AS teacher. And I also experienced the same, need more patience, understanding, and love your learning. So I salute you, Sir Windel. I know how hard then po to be an AS mobile teacher then. You go to your CLC or your community learning center and sometimes you have to travel how many minutes or hours, and then you take habal-habal minsan, or maybe you cross yung river then. So yun, believe kami sa inyo, Sir Windel, and you are an inspiration to us and to our teachers then. So yun. And next, we would like to hear from Sir Jess. Sir Jess.
Napaka-inspiring naman ng mga sharing na mahugot ng ating fellow ambassadors, no. Naalala ko mula sa sharing ni Sir Windel ang sinabi ng ating ano ba 2019 ba si Peter Tabichi, Miss Venus? Parang
Yes,
sinabi
sir.
niya na we need to do more and talk less. Parang we have something in common naman talaga, no. Actually, ang isa rin sa mga weaknesses ko yung ano ko yung stage fright na ano rin ako, parang hindi ako din gano'n ka-eloquent, no, sa pagsasalita. But then parang nasasanay na rin kasi we're very thankful. So isa 'yun sa mga nagawa ng GTP sa akin yung naging mga pagbabago sa akin, no, nang dahil sa GTP. Siguro kung may isang pagbabago to sum up all yung mga changes na nangyari, parang naging busy kami lahat. Parang dumating yung mga promotions, no. Nabigyan kami ng I think very important yung amplification ng mga boses namin. Nung na-capture ang mga stories namin, nagkaroon kami ng boses, yung aming nararating hindi lang sa aming schools, hindi lang sa aming communities, nabibigyan kami ng platforms, nabibigyan kami ng pagkakataon to inspire other teachers also. And we're very thankful na kilala natin ang International Cooperation Office, nakasama natin yung mga nandyan sa central office, tapos naging madali. It's because of the network that we have created or the network na napasali tayo because of the GTP. Siyempre pa nga ating GTP Ambassador Circle, nandiyan din ang GTP Circle natin sa from the different parts, ang mga members ay from the different parts of the globe. Very important yun kasi because of the GTP experience and the GTP recognition, I think I feel more passionate, no. I become more positive din. Many people, yung mga hindi naniniwala before or parang nag-aalinlangan, now parang collaborators na natin. So parang ganon, no. Many things has many things have really changed, or many changes, I mean, have really happened. At yun nga, we become busier. Nagiging mas abala tayo sa ngayon kasi marami tayong ginagawa. Kasi in a positive way, we become busier because nagkaroon tayo ng maraming collaborators, maraming opportunities to continue what we have started, to do more. I think yung sa aking culture-based and inclusive education, kasi parang yun yung pinaka passion project ko, but pero magkaroon yan ng maraming sanga-sanga, no? So maraming mga ginagawa on instruction, culture-based instruction, community involvement sa reading, sa research and writing. So nagkaroon ako, I think I become more motivated to think more. How could I do more and touch more lives? Parang ganon, Miss Jamie.
Wow, Sir Jess, I know you're one very inspiring teacher then. And with you're promoting our love for the culture, yung inyong pagtuturo. So I also salute you, Sir Jess.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome, Sir Jess. And next, Sir Ryan, nakapag-share na po ba si Sir Ryan? Yes, done na. So maybe we can proceed. Ayan, we have another comment. I'll read lang po so you'll know them po. Sabi po ni Miss Sherlyn, it's inspiring to see these teacher finalists who are giving pride to our country, especially to DepEd. So yun, thank you for your comment, Miss Sherlyn. Ayan.
I also saw the comments from Doc Marge. Hello, Doc Marge.
Yes, yeah, a while ago.
Ano bang tawag? Siya ang ating parang talent manager. Diba? Our talent manager.
Yes.
May comment
Director
din siya
Marshall,
kanina.
the passion project of it is the core of your life. Kasi medyo mabilis po, hindi ko natandaan. But I saw that medyo mabilis na yung pag-ano ng comment. But maybe makikita natin siya later. And another comment, it's always good to hear stories of inspiration from teachers who have a heart for their profession. Super thanks po. Yeah, teachers with a heart. Yan. And then next, we'll have another question. Maybe I'll ask what are the things to consider na to become nominated in the Global Teacher Prize? So, paano ba ito? What are, yung mga need nila? Like, kailangan ba may passion project ba everybody should have this? Or, so, yun, anybody could answer from the group?
I think, Miss Jamie, importante yung alam natin how to package ourselves, repackage. Importante yon kasi parang balikan mo lang naman kung ano mga ginagawa mo. I'm sure there are a lot of teachers out there na maraming mga ginagawa. Kaya nga lang parang nagkakaproblema lang. Ano ba talagang ginagawa? So I think they need to ask questions, no? Sa mga sarili nila, ano ba malang mga ginagawa nila? Ano bang mga naumpisahan nila? Ano ba talaga ang passion nila? Yun kasi talaga, ano ang passion mo? And then all you have to do is to gather lang yung mga ginawa mo na ano ba mga modes of verifications mo, ano ba mga nagawa mo. Importante na intact yung mga ganon. So, I think kapag sinabi mo kasi lahat ang mga accomplishments mo, importante din na meron ka ring parang portfolio, meron ka ring parang bid box. So, importante rin yun. Kahit na simulan mo muna sa soft copy. No? So, you need to compile the photos, for example, the approved proposals that you have made. Ano ba ang mga collaborations mo, ano ba ang mga nagawa mo. So I think very important yon. So packaging is very important.
So it's like you're selling yourself then. So yan, our teachers maybe could prepare na you should package yourself. Kumbaga sa kape, lahat nandun na. Nandun na sugar, cream, and the coffee.
Yeah.
So
pwede,
yun.
parang alamin kung anong klaseng kape, no? Anong klaseng kape. bakit ganung kang uri ng kape?
Or what variant siya. Okay, next. Can we hear from Sir Ryan? If you can share something po, Sir Ryan.
Actually, I continue to learn. I continue to attend different webinars, and I continue to read also inspiring stories, inspiring books, inspirational books, para masustain yung passion ko. Ganun po yung ginagawa ko. Ganun ko pinapackage yung sarili ko. And I continue to talk with different stakeholders. Kasi mismo mo sa kanila, malalaman ko kung ano yung pwede ko pang gawin, ano yung pangangailangan. Kasi we need to know the real situation out there. And with that, pwede tayong gumawa ulit ng isang interventions. Kasi tayo naman, yung sarili natin, kailangan natin i-inspire din. Kahit marami yung naniniwala na sa atin sa ngayon, kailangan din yung sustain natin yung passion. Yung passion natin.
Yeah. Mhm.
Paano natin gagawin? Of course, we always ask the guidance of the Lord, the love of the family na nandyan sila, our colleagues, and maganda din talaga yung yung dapat nagbabasa ka ng mga nakaka-inspire na kwento kasi doon mo din yung hugot mo sa buhay para ma-share sa maraming mga tao para maging ka din, kompleto na yung buhay mo. Although marami din tayong mga challenges din, but still, because of the people around us, nakakompleto tayo. Because of the people who believe in our capacity, na nabuboost tayo yung confidence natin. Ganun natin dapat, bilang isang ambassador, ganun tayo, i-package yung sarili, i-ready yung sarili natin sa mga susunod na challenges, sa susunod na hakbang para in time lagi tayong energetic and alive and kicking. So thank you po.
Wow. Yes, tama, Sir Ryan. I also agreed with what you said. And lalo na yung love of family because our family always keeps us going. Parang energizer bunny rin siya, no? So,
Yes.
next, thank you again, Sir Ryan.
Thank you.
Maybe we could, Sir Wendell, would you like to share something na
Hello po, Ma'am Jamie. Sa akin po, ayan, personally, yung mga ginagawa ko, parang normal lang. Ginagawa ko yun dahil yun ang kailangan sa community. Kasi, ako kasi, personally, bilang arts teacher, iba naman yung situation namin compare sa classroom. Kami talaga yung pumunta sa community. So, halimbawa, walang tubig sa community, ikaw yung may access para doon. So siguro mag-isip ka ng mga pwede mong maitulong sa ang inspiration ko kasi na you have to go the mandate of our department. Hindi ka lang makontento na magturo ka lang, kung paano bumasa, magsulat. Siguro, gumawa ka ng mga project para sa ikabubuti ng inyong mga learners, gaya ng ginagawa ng mga ambassadors ko na hindi yun normal na gawain ng isang teacher. So, isa yun sa mga tips na sinasabi ko sa kanila na dapat go beyond within the four walls of our classroom. Kasi darating na lang yung mga bagay na pwedeng makakatulong sa iyo. Yun po ang isa sa mga kailangan gawin natin.
Yes, thank you, Sir Wendell. And tama po yun na you do projects that will benefit lalong-lalo na for your learners kasi we do those things because of them. And next, Ma'am Venus, could we hear from you po, Dr. Venus?
Ito parang summary no, na marami na ang nasabi ng aking fellow ambassadors. So to sum up, so advice po namin para sa ating fellow teachers na gustong maging GTP ambassadors din. Unang-una, we have to always prepare our portfolio, no? So yung ating pong portfolio ay hindi lang po para sa purpose ng joining ng contests, but also for promotion ba o for tracking our own professional development. So anytime, anywhere, dapat dala-dala natin yung ating portfolio dahil kapag may opportunity, madali lang nating mahuhugot kung ano yung kailangang dokumento for specific na purpose. No? Because sabi nga, opportunity always favors the prepared mind. So kapag ready ka, kahit ano yung kaharap mo na contest ba yan o promotion, handa kang mag-submit kung ano man yung opportunity. And I would like to add na we have to prepare not only our mind but also our weapons. So ano ba yung pwede nating iarangkada, ilaban? Yun po. Pangalawa, we have to build our own brand. So ano ba yung brand? Ano ba yung gusto nating ma-remember kapag nababanggit yung ating pangalan? Like kapag sinabi nating Dr. Jesus Ensilada, ano ba yung ma-remember nila? So brand niya is culture-based. Kapag narinig natin si Sir Ryan Homan, hindi lang si Zanjo Marudo ang nare-remember natin, kundi nare-remember
Yes.
natin yung Balsa-Basa at ang kanyang reading advocacy. Pag sinabi nating Windel Alvarez, ano ba yung na-remember natin? So, andyan yung ALS, andyan yung kanyang Yellow Boat. No? Pag naririnig natin Jim Toscano, ano yung nandoon? So, andyan yung ICT. So, ako naman, andito yung Strategic Intervention Material na ginawa ng CIMATAR ng DOST. So, yun po. Ano ba yung kailangan nating i-address sa ating community, sa ating school? Kasi sabi nga ni Dr. Jess kanina, yung context po natin, dyan po tayo mag-uumpisa. Yung sariling hugot natin, yan po ang magli-lead sa atin to become more innovative. Yun po. Then, pangatlo, we should not be afraid to try and try again no matter how many times we fail. Kasi we should take the word fail as our first attempt in learning. Hindi po siya fail na fail, kundi first attempt lang siya ng learning. And if we get no as an answer to our attempt, so kung ano man yung sinalihan natin, kung talo man, okay lang. But if we got no as an answer, then just say, next opportunity, please. Ganon. So, because everyone has an opportune time. We just have to trust God's timing. So, yun po. So, yun po, no? Sali na po tayo sa GTP and be one of us.
Wow, very well said, Dr. Venus, na prepare your portfolio, prepare our mind and our weapons, build your own brand, and try again. So, ayun. And then, Mady, would you do the honor of giving the next question for our GTP ambassadors?
Yes. Thank you, Miss Jamie. So, as what mentioned po by Sir Windel, we shouldn't stay inside our comfort zones. We should also go outside of the box. And as mentioned din po kay Dr. Venus, na dapat ready po tayo to take up the challenges and building our brands. So, this question po. So, after being a GTP finalist, what are your future plans po? So, kasi so far with our discussions, we all know na being a GTP finalist is not your final goal for being a teacher. So, yun po yung magiging question natin. Kung ano, meron pa po ba kayong, aside from, kung anong meron po kayo na goals or what are your what are the things that do you want to achieve more po after this? So, let's start po kay Dr. Jess.
Thank you, Miss May ba? Sorry, Miss May.
Maybe.
Miss Maylie po.
Oh, Melly. Okay, maraming salamat. I think ang pinupunto natin is yung sustainability ng ating mga projects kasi when you do all these things naturally, hindi siya matatapos agad or gagawin mo siya because yun yung passion nyo, yun yung ginagawa mo, yun yung kailangan sa schools mo, sa community mo. As to my plans, doon pa rin iinog kasi well-defined naman ang aking personal advocacy. Sinabi na ni Dr. Venus na yun yung aking brand, yun yung nandun ang aking strength, nandun ang aking passion. So, ganun pa rin sa culture-based and inclusive education. Kaya nga lang may mga madadagdag na mga proyekto pa para mas masustain ko pa at mas mapaganda ko pa, maging more inviting pa ang aking mga projects so that collaborators would come in and join. Iniisip ko sa ngayon kasi pabago-bago kami kasi ng schools. Alam ko yan with Sir Ryan, no? Not so much with Doc Venus because kaming mga school heads na sa ngayon, like Sir Ryan, we come and go. Pero napakahalaga yung legacy na maiiwan namin, yung mga projects na talagang tutulong. Lalong-lalo na in my own case kung ang aking isi-serve ng mga schools ay IP schools rin. So, iniisip ko sa ngayon sa new school ko, I'm a week old pa lang sa new school as principal 2, and at the same time designated na Indigenous Peoples Education focal person sa aming division. I'm thinking of putting up yung Balay Kultura. I'm thinking of preparing our school or making our school as a pilot school kasi kaka-launch lang namin this morning sa aming region about farm schools. And I am thinking na napakaganda um, ng pagpasok ng farm school sa Indigenous Peoples Education kasi it talks about sustainability, because alam naman natin yan with Sir Ryan and Sir Windell that we cannot teach kung empty ang mga stomach, so especially in this time of the pandemic. So I would like to sustain projects more on uh, food sustainability sa food, water, yung mga kailangan natin sa schools para pag bumalik na ang face-to-face, matulungan natin ang mga bata. No? Another is that yung mga proyekto natin on the learning continuity ng ating mga indigenous learners. Paano ba nagpapatuloy? Gusto kong magkaroon ng mga projects na mag-a-assist sa ating mga IP learners na magpapatuloy ang kanilang edukasyon kahit nasa panahon ngayon na hindi pa natin alam, we are uncertain yet as to when this pandemic will end. No, hindi natin alam kung kailan itong home-based learning natin at kung kailan babalik ang face-to-face. So very important yung matutulungan natin ang parents at napakalaga ng mga inspiration na naibigay ni Sir Ryan, for example, ang mga ideas of training parents, making them yung facilitators, yung teachers mismo ng kanilang mga anak. So I think gusto kong replicate yung mga ginagawa ni Sir Ryan, especially na angkop sa panahon ng pandemic. And gusto ko ring ipasok doon yung hindi mawawala yung role ng parents bilang teachers ng culture mismo. Parents as teachers of our own culture. Nang sa ganun, ang culture ay hindi lamang ini-emphasize or tinuturo na we are not just aware na dapat ituro ang culture sa school, kundi ituro ito din sa paaralan, sa bahay, I mean. Nandun din yung pagpasok ng values, no? Strengthening values, core values natin sa paaralan. Nang sa ganun ay, for example, gusto kong bigyang pansin yung pag-aaral ng mga bata na wherein na-develop din ang kanilang values. Halimbawa, paano ba nila kinakandak ang home-based learnings? In the morning ba, may training and discipline ba? Na pagkagising, ayusin yung tinulugan? Siniseryoso ba nila ano ang kanilang schedule? Parang ganon. Gusto kong magkaroon ng project on that so that masusustain ko yung ano ko na sa face-to-face applicable. Nang sa ganun magpatuloy ito kahit na home-based learning tayo sa ngayon. So I need the help of the parents first and foremost, and our collaborators and our stakeholders and support system. Thank you.
Thank you po, Dr. Jess. So as you mentioned po, no, it's indeed important that learning doesn't stop inside the school, or especially for this pandemic na learning shouldn't stop in front of the screens. So for the next ambassador to answer the question po, let's have Sir Ryan po.
Actually, totoo yung sinabi ni Dr. Jesus na one of the challenges is how to sustain the projects that we have started. And this time, nung naging Global Teacher Prize po ako, nakapag-connect pa ako sa iba't ibang NGOs, mga tao na naniniwala. So, my plans are to multiply these projects in our districts, in our community, hindi lang sa school ko, but in our other schools na pwede namin matulungan, masuportahan din. Kasi nandito na kasi yung Yellow Boat of Hope Foundation din sa amin, sa Dunsol, na tumutulong din sa advocacy namin. And lagi kong sinasabi na I am selfless lagi. Ibibigay ko yung sarili ko, yung time ko para sa ibang school para makatulong, makapag-coach, and makapag-train din ng mga nanay teachers. Kasi yung time kasi ay siya precious. Lalo sa ngayon po. So willing po akong ibigay yun. Yun yung mga plano ko. That's why maraming mga opportunities na nag-invite para po makapag-share. So lagi akong go sa mga ganong opportunities. And of course, how to sustain the project. I continue to do reporting of what is happening in our projects through transparency report, financial report, and deed of donations para yung yung mga tao na yun ay talagang naniniwala na ito yung mga pinapadala nila. So ganun po yung ginagawa namin para continuous pa rin yung partnership with different stakeholders. So yun lang po. Sustainability and transparency.
Yan. So, thank you po, Sir Ryan. Yun nga, from your answer po, I suddenly remembered yung quote from this Spider-Man na comics na, with great power comes great responsibility. So, as a teacher ko po kasi talagang sobrang iba yung responsibility nyo when it comes to the learners na kayo po yung naguhubog sa amin as a learner. So next po na sasagot ng question natin is si Sir Windel po.
Okay, katulad po na Sir Ryan at Sir Jess na isa talaga sa mga challenges namin yung sustainability ng aming mga projects. Kasi mataas yung tingin sa atin. I-award ka na, siyempre dapat doble sipag, doble na yung mga ginagawa mo aside from your trabaho, normal na trabaho. So yan yung isa sa mga plano ko na dapat na sana madagdagan pa yung mga advocacy ko na hindi lang ma-serve yung community here in Karamuan and sana ma-duplicate pa sa mga nearby municipalities para kung ano yung mga benefits na nakukuha ng mga learners ng community, makuha rin ng ibang mga community dito sa amin. Yun po isa sa mga advocacy ko na ma-duplicate yung mga project ko. And then, more partners, more stakeholders para yung mga programs in project ma-implement ko. Kasi kung personally, na budget ko, siyempre kulang. So pag marami kang project, partners, and stakeholders, mas marami kang opportunity para magkaroon ng o makapag-serve sa ibang mga community. Yun lang po.
And so thank you po Sir Windel. So last po to answer, Ma'am Venus.
Laging panapos, Okay, gaya po ng sinabi ni Sir Windel, once an outstanding teacher, always an outstanding teacher. Yun po ang ating mga ginagawa, hindi po siya nagtatapos kapag po nakatanggap tayo ng recognition. Kung hindi, challenge po siya para mas lalo pa nating pagbutihin ang ating mga ginagawa. Kasi yun nga, dahil mataas na yung tingin sa iyo ng tao, kailangan mo siyang i-maintain. Kung hindi, kung kailangan kung pang mas dagdagan yung effort para mas marami ka pang ma-inspire. So although hindi na po ako nagtuturo sa ngayon, so I would like to infect po and inspire more teachers kasi nandito na po ako sa division office. So ang goal ko po ay mas mapalapad po ang matatouch ng mga teachers kasi po dati sa classroom iba po yung ating ginagawa. Dito naman po sa division, mas pwede ko pa pong ma-inspire ang mga teachers to to go beyond the call of duty. Yung sinasabing go the distance, yun po, no? Para po mag-increase pa yung ating tribe. Para po, ngayon kung 5 kami, sa susunod na taon, maging 8 na kami o 10. So, ganun po. Magte-train pa po ako ng mga teachers para po sa paggawa ng SIM. At yung amin pong strategic intervention material na ngayon ay available na po sa App Store bilang Simatar ng DOST, gusto ko po sana siyang mas mag-level up kung pwede pa po kaming gumawa ng mga applications para po madagdagan ang learning resources ng ating division at na pwede ma-share sa ibang division, gagawin po namin yun. Kaya po, patuloy po ang ating pagre-research, pagbabasa, kung ano po yung pwede nating maidagdag para po mas makatulong sa pag-improve ng edukalidad. Yun po.
Pagsulong ng edukalidad. Napakaganda ng mga sinabi ni kasi naalala ko lang, sorry Miss Jamie and Ma'am Meryl, kasi napakahalaga talaga yung sustainability nang hindi naman masabi ng iba basta nanalo ka na ng GTP, no? Na parang you did all these things for GTP only, no? But if you do these things, as what I've said, naturally, hindi yun matatapos. So, hindi lamang para sa GTP. So, para wala ring masabing iba na kapag nag-stop ka na kasi naisama na siya sa GTP, parang ganon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Jess, for that. And Dr. Vino. Go the distance. Naalala ko yung kanta na yun I think that's from my
Yes.
So maybe our audience could listen to the song and relate to yung what Dr. Vino said a while ago. Okay, and this will be our next, I think this is our last question, no? For everybody, what can you say to your fellow teachers na they're watching right now, watching us today, who also aspire to be like you? So, what can you say to them? Maybe we'll start with,
Parang message.
yes, with Dr. Start sa inyo po, Sir Ryan.
To all the teachers who are watching now in this webinar, you have to prepare yourselves and continue what you are doing to change the lives of the Filipino children, because you are making a big difference now, especially amidst the pandemic. And all you have to do is you need somebody who will believe in you, your principal, your coach, kasi kailangan lang naman ng suporta sa inyo ng inyong mga principals sa inyong mga ginagawang mga passion projects. Kapag kulang support from the community, from the school heads, medyo alam ko, medyo yung feeling mo na nawawalan ka ng pag-asa. But still, as long as may naniniwala sa'yo kahit isa, dalawa, tatlo, i-push mo yan. I-push mo yan. Until the time na may nakakita sa'yo na your potential for this recognition or promotion. Kaya nga, never give up and never lose your hope. Kung may mga tao man na hindi sa'yo naniniwala, hindi ka sinuportahan, patuloy mo pa rin yan. Kasi ako, marami akong experience na nag-reject sa akin. Kasi alam ko sa puso ko na maganda yung ginagawa ko. Kaya ginawa ko siya yung ng buong puso na hindi ako humingi ng kapalit. Hindi ko in-expect na mararating ko yung experience ko ngayon. Ganun lang, continue your passion. Kasi after all, we are doing this for the children, for God, and for our family. And in time na po na nabigyan kayo ng opportunity na ganito, you have to share. You have to be selfless. Share what you have learned, share your experiences, share your inspiration.
think we lost Sir Ryan. Sir Ryan?
And never forget those people. We cannot own the success. We cannot own this. We cannot do it alone. It is collaborative effort of everyone na naniwala sa atin. That's why we are humble to say thank you to everyone who helped us, especially to DepEd. So thank you, Ma'am Jamie.
Yes, thank you, Sir Ryan. Tama po na you should dapat maging selfless and share kung ano man meron tayo and yung ating na never lose hope and never give up. So next, Sir Windel, we would like to hear from you, Sir Windel.
Okay, for my last word in our virtual forum, yan palagi ko po itong sinasabi na bilang isang guro, it is no longer a job, but a mission. Kasi it is our advocacy na and mission na nabigyan natin ng buhay yung mga tao, lalo-lalo na yung mga hindi na bigyan ng opportunity ng katapos ng pag-aaral, si mid and als, yung mga underprivileged na hindi na educated, na may balik yung kanilang dignidad at magkaroon ng bagong buhay. Kasi sa amin, makita lang sila na mayroon na silang diploma and with honor na and pride na hawak nila yon. It is a greatest reward could ever have para sa ating mga guro. At makita nila natin silang employed and be able to provide for their family. Yun na yung fulfillment natin. Fulfillment ng ating mga mission at yung ating mga pangarap para sa ating mga learners. Kasi ginagawa naman natin yun para sa kanila. And let me end this quotation palagi sa aming mga Yellow co-paddler na every great story starts when somebody shares and pays. Thank you po.
Wow, very inspiring, Sir Windel, no? Your job is a mission. And then, next, Ma'am Venus, kayo naman po, para hindi po sabihin na last kayo ngayon.
Opo. Okay, gusto ko pong sabihin sa aking mga co-teachers at saka sa mga school heads na nakikinig sa ngayon na huwag po tayong mapagod na gawin kung ano yung tama para po sa ikabubuti ng ating bayan, para sa bata, para sa bayan, sabi nga po, no? So huwag tayong mapagod na gawin kung ano yung tama. Hindi man ma-recognize yung ating mga efforts agad-agad, darating at darating yung pagkakataon kung saan mabibigyan ng tamang recognition ang yung mga ginagawa. Basta wag ka lang mapagod. Kung ano man yung assignment na ibigay sa iyo ng school head, kung ano man yung pinagsulat ka man ng module, pinagsulat ka man ng SIM, o ano man yung iniutos sa iyo, gawin mo lang siya wholeheartedly, nang walang reklamo, dahil darating at darating ang pagkakataon na ang lahat ng effort, ang lahat ng yung ginagawa ay mare-recognize at mare-recognize siya. So ito pong recognition actually ay bonus lang sa atin ng may kapal. Kapag po ginawa natin ang dapat nating gawin para sa ating mga estudyante, yan po, no? Bonus points na po yan dahil ikatutuwa po yan ng Panginoon at darating talaga yung time para sa atin na ma-recognize yung kung ano man ang ating mga effort. Sa mga school head, wag po tayong mapagod na mag-support sa ating mga teachers. Kasi po, sa experience ko nga, kung wala pong Ma'am Gingging Guyano na nag-push sa akin na gumawa ng SIM, wala po akong mararating. So our teachers need support and inspiration from leaders. Kaya po, pagtulungan po natin, huwag tayong mapagod na isulong ang edukalidad para po sa ating kabataan. So yun po. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Venus. Para sa bata, para sa bayan. Yun. And then next, Sir Jess.
Hello sa lahat ng mga teachers na nakikinig sa ngayon at gusto ko ring i-greet ang lahat ng mga estudyante. Kasama rin natin ang mga estudyante ngayong hapon. At ang mensahe ko sa kanila ay huwag matakot. You deserve to be recognized because of your efforts and submitting ourselves to recognitions like this is for me is very empowering. This is one way to empower others. When we nominate teachers, when we nominate students, we empower them. We give them platform, we give them voice, and we give these recognitions that they really deserve because of their hard work, because of their passion. Sa mga teachers dyan na nakikinig na at first natatakot or na-overwhelm or naguguluhan kung kaya ba o hindi, I think there's no harm in trying talaga as long as because you don't do this just for just to get the most coveted prize or to be recognized agad, because you are doing this to champion our cause, to empower one another, because this is because it is very important that we empower ourselves, because if we feel empowered, that's only the time that we can empower our students. Mm.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sir Jess. That was a fruitful discussion from our GTP ambassadors, and truly you're all an inspiration not only for us but for teachers, for our learners, and always thank you for empowering us then. And thank you for your stories and your experiences. I know our viewers and our audiences right now, maybe they're thinking of a passion project na gagawin nila ngayon. And as we can see with the comments, they're all inspired. So thank you again. And Miss Meili,
So you're right, Miss Jamie, and I know for a fact that through these stories and advocacies, our teachers are more motivated to take on the challenge to become a GTP
Mhm.
nominee. Now let us proceed with the next speaker, our very own ICO Director, Margarita Consolacion C. Ballesteros, as she discusses with us the recently launched Global Student Prize, a sister prize to the Global Teacher Prize, which will cater to our students. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ay, I'm sorry. Uh, let me reiterate what I said. So
Mm.
we would
yes,
like to welcome Dr. Jesus Inselada
Thank you, Miss
as
Mariel.
as he discusses with us the recently launched Global Student Prize, a sister prize to the Global Teacher Prize, which will cater to our students. Good afternoon, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Mariel. And I would like to request my fellow ambassadors na maging collaborative tayo. From time to time, you are welcome to give your insights or supply needed information that I would miss. So, sa lahat ng mga estudyante na nakikinig dyan, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I'll be presenting to you the Global Student Prize na ilo-launch ng Varkey Foundation ngayong taon. What to expect? The discussion highlights are as follows. One, background on the Global Teacher Prize. Tapos na tayo dyan. Background on the Global Student Prize. Eligibility and criteria. Nomination and selection process. And the discussion of our answers to the very big question, why do we need to nominate? Why students need to apply to the Global Student Prize. The Global Student Prize. Today's students are burdened with so many challenges, living through the greatest disruption to learning in history. Uh, what's that? Shouldering high levels personal debt and navigating a job market that is undergoing a rapid transformation in the market of an economic uh, crisis. But as the burden of the past uh, fails on students' shoulders, they have the power to change the world and build their future. So sa lahat ng mga estudyante diyan, no, alam namin ang inyong mga pinagdadaanan, ang mga inyong hugot, ang inyong mga um, challenges na kinakaharap because we were once students. Ako rin, no? Marami rin ang mga challenges na aking napagdaanan. The Varkey Foundation has launched uh, the CHEG or Global Student Prize this year as that would give um, 50,000 US dollars um, award, which will be awarded to the Global Student Prize winner to highlight the efforts of extraordinary students throughout the world that are making a real impact learning learning and on the lives of their peers and on society beyond. So kailangan nating i-capture ang mga extraordinary stories of our students through this Global Student Prize. Um, Next slide, please. Punta na tayo ngayon sa eligibility criteria. I know na yung mga nakikinig sa atin ngayon ay yung mga pinili na ng kanyang respective divisions or schools. And I believe all of them have the potentials to be nominated sa Global Student Prize. Ang eligibility natin ay kailangan nating lakihan para makita natin. The Global Student Prize is open to all students who are at least 16 years old and enrolled in an academic institution or training and skills program. Pareho rin sa Global Teacher Prize, hindi masyadong strict ang Barkey Foundation as to um, yung parang qualification kasi lahat ng uri ng estudyante ay pwede rito. Pwedeng coming from the formal school, be it public or private. Training school ba yan? In the Philippine context, for example, we have the TESDA and we have also vocational schools and skills program. Part-time students, kindly take note, part-time students as well as students enrolled in online courses are also eligible for the prize. Tingnan natin mamaya when it comes to sa edad, no? Sa criteria natin. For our criteria, academic achievement, overcoming the odds, especially in this time of the pandemic, ano ba mang ginagawa ng ating mga youth leaders, ng ating mga students, ano ba ang kailang contribution in minimizing the ill effects of this pandemic, no, to their own family members or to their own to their own peers. Another is impact on your peers. Ano ba ang mga creativity ninyo and innovation? Are you making a difference in your community and beyond? And we are also looking for students who have been fostering global citizenship. The context or the concept of global citizenship is very important. Academic achievement, narito ang discussion natin ng academic achievement. Ano bang tinutukoy natin when we talk about academic achievement? Academic endeavor is what defines a student, and applicants for the Global Student Prize will inevitably have a strong record of academic achievement. So maybe grades or maybe academic achievement. Although evidence of this is likely to include excellence or excellent grades in formal students, it can also include a record of prizes won for academic or project work, research that has been published or won over recognition an outstanding reference from your supervisor or professor. For example, um, outlining contributions made to group work or terminal grants and fellowships, or videos of high quality scholarly presentations made by the candidates. So very clear sa ating definition of academic achievement here from the point of view of the GSP of the Varkey Foundation, wherein ang sinasabi nating academic achievement ay hindi lamang base sa grades but sa accomplishments, sa scholarly work, at sa mga sinasabi rin ng inyong mga mentors and teachers. Students will also be able to demonstrate that that they have overcome obstacles to their academic growth and have preserved that and have persevered to fulfill their potential. I want to emphasize this to all our student participants this afternoon. Napakahalaga rin na ang ika-capture na story ng Varkey Foundation through the GSP ay yaong mga istorya na very inspiring. So this is for everybody, all kinds of students, kung saan ka man nagmula, city ba, sa rural area ba, napakahalaga kung paano mo i-package ang iyong istorya, wherein very inspiring kung paano mo, how you are able to hurdle the challenges, yung mga challenges ng iyong pagiging estudyante. Next slide, please. Impact on your peers para sa ating criteria number 2. Strong communities are essential to a thriving society, and our exceptional students will be those who have made a mark on their student community and change it for the better. This may include supporting other students to continue in their studies, tutoring and mentoring your peers, or participating in college access initiatives that encourage applications from individuals in socio-economically disadvantaged communities. You may have helped other students tackle mental or physical health challenges, engaged in activism to support minority student groups, fundamental for a good cause, or simply carried out individual acts of support, courage, and generosity. So ilan lamang ito sa mga examples natin ng manifestations of your manifestations, how you create impact on your peers. And I'm very confident na mas marami pa ang pwedeng maibigay ng mga examples ng ating student leaders, ng ating mga natatanging mga estudyante. So impact on peers. Let's proceed to criteria number 3, that is making a difference in your community and beyond. So mahalaga rin that your impact is not only among your fellow learners, but also you go out to your community to relate to them the beautiful stories, your innovations, and your projects that could also help the people in the community. The student leaders of the 21st century will embody our society's highest values, and as such, they will often be engaged in promoting wider local change. The judges look for evidences of a demonstrable impact on wider society, which can be either local, national, or international. This way, uh, this may encompass civic action and engagement such as volunteering, with old and young people, giving free lessons to children in the local community, working at food banks and youth centers. So alam namin, we are very happy to note na at the young age may mga estudyante na tayong nai-engage sa community involvement. Katulad ng mga nabanggit nating examples, kapag meron kayong kailangan natin ng mga evidences na kayo ay may mga volunteer work. For example, working in fast in food banks na voluntary or youth centers, or maybe in the Philippine context, part kayo ng sangguniang kabataan or part kayo ng certain organization, be it civic, be it government or non-government organization. But it could also include working with students in other parts of the world. So this talks about your global citizenship responsibilities, uh, by taking part in national and global advocacy and activism on issues such as marami yan, no? Racism, sexism, climate change. So marami yung mga ginagawa natin to address climate change, no? Meron ba kayong youth initiated tree planting activities, something like that, recycling? May mga activities rin kayo, I'm sure, on to address poverty. Alternatively, it could include creating platforms for social change, getting involved in uh, refugee assistance programs, or fighting cyber bullying. Kailangan lamang, I know ginagawa na ninyo ang mga ito, ang mga naibigay nating mga examples. All you have to do is to gather evidences about these projects that you have been doing. Let's proceed to criteria number 4, overcoming the odds. In a global society, the um, parang napakaliit, hindi natin mabasa. No, may chance kayang medyo mapalaki natin ang ating slide so that our student participants could also read the specific criteria in choosing our finalists, and ultimately the winner. Um, so overcoming the odds, that is our criteria number 4. In a global society that faces ever greater challenges, determination and perseverance are essential qualities for leaders of the future. Ito yung mga young leaders natin. Many of today's most exceptional students have had to overcome significant barriers to reach higher education and achieve their goals. Obstacles such as severe health problems, socioeconomic disadvantage, discrimination, frequent relocation, or family difficulties. Ang insights ko naman dito, things should come naturally. Hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin, oh, may sakit ako, na bigla na lang nagkasakit just for this. No, pero I think ang hina-highlight natin dito yung not really na maawa tayo sa kanila, but to be inspired ang kanilang fighting spirit, how they were able to overcome difficulties and odds. Napakahalaga yon, very inspiring, because the best lesson that these students could really give to the world are their own stories, their own success stories. Okay. Candidates may have lived in a war zone, okay, or a region that has seen environmental disaster, or pursued their education while under refugee or asylum seeker status. Alternatively, they may have dealt with gaps in formal study, yung mga at risk of dropping out pero very persevering, no? Beyond their control, taking on responsibilities such as being uh, um, what's that? A guardian or raised a child while studying, yung mga young mothers natin. In each case, the candidate's personal journey, okay, that is personal journey, creating your own personal story, will demonstrate an indomitable spirit in the face of difficulties that might have stopped others. So very important, especially in the context of the pandemic, to highlight, to feature, and to look for students who could really give inspiration to their fellow students. Next slide, please. Uh, Creativity and innovation. Alam ko, I'm very positive na marami nito sa ating Filipino youth, sa ating young leaders. Innovation is at the heart of what is to be a student, and society increasingly looks to today's young people to create tomorrow's new platforms, artworks, movements, and ideas. Creative endeavor can take an immense variety of forms, and therefore candidates for the prize may submit creative contributions from any field. You may have written a novel. I know we have young novelists, recorded an album, founded a theater company, or directed a film, even in your own schools, no? Uh, uh, Alternatively, if you have designed an app, for example, to our um, sa ating mga ICT ano diyan, experts na mga estudyante pa lang, if you have built a YouTube channel, if you have a YouTube channel for a cause, recorded a podcast like what Mr. Jim is doing, podcast, or to become a social media influencer. Yon, marami yon. Yun yung palaging ginagawa ng ating mga kabataan sa ngayon. These endeavors can be just as creative as the traditional arts. So I know that our student participants out there are taking down notes of our examples. What are the activities that you have been doing? And these are the examples. Equally, you may have been involved in creating a social purpose organization or some other type of service using new technology or fresh ideas about how to connect people. Candidates will be able to show that they are looking at the world afresh and lighting a spark for others to follow. So mahalaga yung innovations, yung ini-introduce na paradigms or anumang mga bagong outlook, no, or bagong pagtingin sa mga bagay-bagay na makakatulong that would benefit the education sector and the community and beyond. Okay, next slide, please. That is criteria number 5, no? Creativity and innovation. Criteria number 6, fostering global citizenship. Gusto kong i-emphasize sa mga estudyanteng nakikinig sa ngayon ang definition natin ng global citizenship. Kailangan ba talaga that we have global counterparts upang matawag tayo na upang masabi na in-exercise natin ating global citizenship? I would like to stress that global citizenship is not always working with, it's not always about working with our global counterparts. Hindi kailangan talagang mga projects tayo na nagko-collaborate with students from abroad. No? What is important is that yung mga ginagawa mo is affecting, or your mga ginagawa mo is geared towards addressing global issues. I think pasok doon ang global citizenship. Let me give you an example before I read the details given by the Varkey Foundation. Um, um, Climate change is a global issue, right? But if you are doing it you are localizing it, you are doing it you are doing something to address a global issue, and you do it in your own way, you're affecting your local communities, you're creating impacts your local communities in addressing and in rallying people in your community to work towards addressing global climate change, for example. I think you exercise your global citizenship. The future success of our society is entirely dependent on global citizens who can work together in the coming decades to solve the profound problems facing our world. Candidates will be passionate about the future of global cooperation and may have shown this by working on joint projects with people in other countries, or naging specific siya, no? But I think we can um, work on that, whether for pure research or for a practical aim, forging links between institutions or taking part in exchanges. I think pasok pa rin yung yung mga initiatives natin that address global issues. Candidates will have taken an active role in fostering cultural understanding, breaking down barriers, fighting ignorance on global issues, and using online platforms. I think using global platforms that could create a global effect is in line with this criteria, criteria number 6. Using online platforms to share resources, information, and expertise. Their efforts may also have encompassed helping students in other countries to access education or improve its quality. Okay, sunod. I think we're done. Okay. Punta na tayo sa nomination, selection, and process. Kung pwede natin mapalaki yung yan, hayan. So, application deadline. So, kasabay rin ng Global Teacher Prize. I think mahalagang nagkaroon ng counterpart itong Global Teacher Prize, ang Global Student Prize, nang sa gayon ay magtapikan ng mga shoulders, no, to remind each other. Napakalaga din ang tandem, no, kapag meron tayong teacher nominee at kailangan ding i-assist din ang student nominee, at that we could remind one another regarding important dates sa ating nomination and selection process. At unang-una dyan, napakalaga ang application deadline, April 30, 2021. And as far as I'm concerned, parang mahirap na magkaroon tayo ng postponement, no, parang hindi pa nagkaroon ng ng history na nagkaroon ng pagbabago sa sa submission deadline. So always let's always remind ourselves of the application deadline, again April 30, 2021. Punta tayo sa scoring. Okay, how our student nominees will be rated or scored. Applications will be scored and read by a panel of online judges who will select the top 50 finalists. I'm not really aware pa about this, or not really sure about this, but what I know is that there will be online academy of parang academy siya, no? In the case of the Global Teacher Prize, ang alam ko na meron tayong academy. Sila yung pumipili ng magiging ultimate winner ng Global Teacher Prize, and I know na parang ganito rin, dito rin ipapattern ang para naman sa mga estudyante, ang para sa Global Student Prize. Punta naman tayo sa selection of the prize committee. The first committee of judges or prize committee will select 10 finalists. Pareho rin sa Global Teacher Prize na nagkakaroon ng 10 top 10 finalists. So again, sa mga estudyante, pipili rin ng top 10 finalists. The Global Student Prize Academy will then select the winner, the sole winner, through a secure online voting system subject to additional screening background and reference checks. So very clear na sa top 10 natin ay magkakaroon ng voting. Note, the whole process will be monitored by PricewaterhouseCoopers for such other firm as VF selects and is of a similar reputation in the charity sector in the UK to ensure transparency. Gusto ko lang i-share na ito rin yung firm na nag-handle ng Global Teacher Prize. Um, Being elevated to the Global Teacher Prize Top 10 in 2018, ito yung nagko-contact sa atin itong PricewaterhouseCoopers firm. At sila rin yung nag-validate no ng scores or to determine no to validate uh, yung scores and the ratings to determine the ultimate winner. Okay? Why apply for the Global Student Prize? So sa lahat ng mga estudyante natin dyan na nakikinig at sumasama sa atin ngayong hapon, napakalaga. Kung babalikan natin ang discussion namin kanina, discussion ng mga Global Teacher Prize Ambassadors, you can take it from us na napakalaga rin, no? Because as what I have said, it is one way to empower all of you by capturing your beautiful stories. We could empower others by inspiring them. Kasi nga, national and international recognition ito ng inyong mga achievements, ng inyong mga accomplishments. And if you have done something extraordinary, you deserve to be recognized. Pangalawa, this is also your chance to become engaged in national and international discussions on policy and campaigns affecting students and student education. Alam natin ang impact ng mga platforms na ganito, lalong-lalo na kung mga great minds, brilliant minds ang nag-uusap at nagsasama-sama. We could really make a difference. We could really serve as catalyst of change in our own communities and in the global landscape. Kasi isa ito sa mga platform na pwede nating ibigay sa ating mga student leaders at sa ating young and brilliant minds. Pangatlong rason, okay, aside from the network that you'll be in after you'll be inducted to being a global student prize ambassadors, you'll be also earning membership of the CHEG in Changemaker community for the top 50 finalists. So parang ganun din, may top 50 muna na shortlist, then top 10, and then the ultimate winner who will be declared as the Global Student Prize winner. And of course, the potential to win the Global Student Prize and receive a prize of 50,000 US dollars. So, kwentahin natin kung magkano yan sa Philippine peso. No? So, malaging bagay din yan for you to support the projects that you have started and for you to increase your sphere of influence and also to do more and touch more lives. At a very young age, take note. Very inspiring yung mga ganong istorya. That is the very big question and the final question also that we have answered. Thank you very much for joining us and looking forward to a bunch of nominations for an outpouring nominations coming from different schools and divisions all throughout the Philippines, whether coming from the Department of Education and the private education sector. Thank you very much and a pleasant afternoon. Um, I have spoken on behalf of our our Director 4 of the International Cooperation Office, Department of Education, Dr. Margarita C. Ballesteros. Miss Jamie, I think you are muted.
I thank you. Apologies. Thank you again, Dr. Insulada, for the presentation on the newly launched Global Student Prize. And I'm sure that many of our students will be motivated to try and be nominated for the award. And now we will proceed with the open forum. And the open forum will be moderated by our dear director, ICO Director, Director Margarita Consolacion Ballesteros. And let's call on our dear panelists, Dr. Alboruto, Dr. Inselada, Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Toscana, Mr. Holman. Good afternoon, Director Marge.
Hi, good afternoon, Jamie and Meili. Thank you. And hello, thank you, Dr. Jess, for taking on my part. Magandang hapon, Sir Ryan,
Welcome and thank
Dr.
you.
and Sir Wendell, and of course, Jim, who is still at the backstage. So this is the second part of the open forum. And the first question actually is directed to Dr. Jesus Encelada. What are the best practices of schools having virtual advocacies, especially its implementation, considering those far-flung schools having difficulties with internet connection? Yes.
The difficulties that we are experiencing also serve as our source of inspiration to think of innovations that we could possibly do as an alternative yun nga sa other means of virtual uh, or distance learning. Right now, ginagamit natin ang radio. In my own case, and being a part also of my advocacy on culture-based education and indigenous people's education, I maintain a radio program. So that way, kapag maganda ang signal sa area, so maraming mga bata ang makakarinig ng mga advocacy materials or sa ngayon meron kaming ginagawang teach on air segment. So one way rin yun ng aming indigenous people's education continuity in this time of the pandemic. Ang pinaka-point lang dyan, hindi ko maisa-isa ang mga ginagawa natin or mga ginagawa ko. But ang pinaka-punto dyan is kadalasan ang mga difficulties, ang mga problema, ang mga challenges na kinakaharap natin if we are positive would serve as our source of inspiration or would prod us to think of what we could possibly do kasi wala namang limit ang mag-isip, no, as long as we have the support system at alam natin na makakatulong ito sa mga estudyante natin, especially those who are struggling because of unstable connectivity. Idagdag pa natin dyan ang mga problema sa tahanan or parents are not capable of serving as learning facilitators. Doon mas may naiisip tayo. Doon nagsisimula kapag tayo ay problem-based, tayo ay need-based, nag-iisip tayo base sa problema at sa pangangailangan, marami ang ating maiisip.
Thank you, Dr. Ensalada, for sharing what you're actually doing. So I see you sometimes in the evening doing your live radio program, and sometimes I do send messages. And I think your students, it's like, for those of you who are just like younger in 3, if not 4, 5 years than I do. You remember those days when we actually tune into radio? Now it's lab radio in the evening, but now it's YouTube, or
Mm-hmm.
now it's Spotify. Or
Yeah.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I slip over with my listening to podcast and a number of all of these things. But it's the same. It's like giving company to our students and to teachers. I have seen the comments earlier how you have been with your stories, how teachers have been touched with your sharing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Let us know also. Maybe we can hear from Dr. Venus, and then next to Dr. Venus would be Jim with the same question. What are the best practices of the schools now at this point of time where there is pandemic, wherein you reach out to schools or to even to your peers in far-flung areas?
Okay po, thank you po sa question. Sa akin po, dun po sa aming community, since marami po sa amin ang walang internet connection, ang ginawa ko po, meron po akong project na tinatawag kong Silingan Connect Project, kung saan po, naglagay po ako ng Wi-Fi kiosk sa labas ng bahay namin. Actually, piso Wi-Fi siya, pero ako po yung naghuhulog ng piso-piso doon para po makakonect sa internet yung aking mga kapitbahay. Halimbawa po, meron po silang online class, pumupunta po sila sa bahay para po mag-connect sa internet. So ako po yung naghuhulog, halimbawa good for 3 hours na internet consumption. So free po sila na gumamit ng internet, free po sila na mag-search sa web, o kung meron po silang online classes, yun po, pwede po silang mag-connect using my Wi-Fi kiosk. So libre po yun. Then dito po sa Surigao City, ang gamit po naming modality is module po, no? Gumagamit po kami ng SLMs. So lahat po ng mga as part of contingency po, meron pong lahat po ng subjects ginawan po ng SLM sa tulong po ng aming mga supervisors dito. So, kumpleto po ang aming set. In case wala pong SLM na magmula sa central office, ready po kami for distribution ng mga locally developed na mga materials. At saka po yung aming pong strategic intervention material, available din po siya online through App Store. Pwede po siyang ma-download sa App Store na pwede pong magamit sa science classes. Yan po.
Thank you, Dr. Venus. I know that a lot of students are, like we have this piso net. I saw that before, but I never tried. But that's for everyone, especially our learners. And now, for the next question, everyone from the panel could answer. How can this forum the learners uplift their morale and lifestyle amidst this present situation and the challenges brought by the pandemic? So anyone could answer from the panelists on.
Ma'am Jamie, pa-repeat po ng question.
Miss Jamie,
Nag-choppy po.
Yes, po, I'll
Yes.
read it again.
Yun ang request
Apologies,
ko.
we have a bad connection here in the
Copy
central
po.
office po. I'll repeat it again. How can this forum help the learners uplift their moral and lifestyle amidst the present situation and the challenges brought about by the pandemic?
Siguro I'll start. Sorry, just popping in again. Hi to everyone. So, I think one of the best thing that we can share to our students right now, it's not just in the forum, but basically the whole idea right now is there is the idea of resilience. We don't romanticize resilience right now, but we don't have much option right now but to continue fighting, but to continue education for students right now. This is something that this is a part of a history that they can learn from about. Everyone is facing different challenges at this time of the pandemic. No one is spared from the challenges of the pandemic. In our own way, we are facing different challenges. And right now, we are also doing our best to face these challenges. I know that in our different contexts, we speak of different problems or issues right now, especially for our students out there. If our students are listening out there, I hope that you got inspired as Dr. Jesus was speaking about the Global Student Prize. If you look at the message of the Global Student Prize, it's not about the best student, the top one, the rank one in class. It's about the best student who never forgets the members of his community. It's not about the best students who tells every people what needs to be done. It's about the best students. He is the best student because his peers appreciate his work and they see him or her helping them. I think that's the idea of the pandemic right now. The big temptation for the pandemic is for us to think about ourselves. Still, it's also the same thing for everyone because we need to make sure that we survive, we turn to ourselves, and we prioritize ourselves. But if you've noticed about the stories of Global Teacher Prize, Global Student Prize, what they're looking for, it's about selflessness, right? Given what you have right now, given the struggles that you have, can you still help other people? Can you still uplift other people? So I think that's one thing that people can learn, especially our students right now at this forum. The forum celebrates every challenges, every failure, every mistake that we have. They are part of who we are. They are very, very important component of the things that we make ourselves in the future. So we celebrate those, but we continue to fighting for ourselves, for our community, and yun nga, parang we need to strive together at this time of the pandemic, both as teachers, as students, and as one school community. That's all.
Thank you, Sir Jeep. And yes, it's true now, for especially at this time of pandemic, that everyone should strive to work together, not only within ourselves, but also our family, our communities, our the teachers, the learners. So, and thank you again, Sir Jim. And maybe we could hear from Dr. Venus, Ma'am Venus.
This forum po is all about inspiration, ano? So, hopefully po sa mga nakikinig po sa ngayon, sana po ay na-inspire po sila sa mga story ng mga ambassadors. Na sana po ay gawin po natin siyang inspirasyon para po lumaban tayo sa bawat hamon ng buhay. So, ito pong mga challenges na ating kinakaharap sa ngayon. Lilipas din po ito, ano? Basta magtiwala lang po tayo. Let's keep doing what is good, what is best, no? Para sa bata nga po at para sa bayan. At sana po ay marami rin pong ma-inspire na sumali sa Global Teacher Prize at sa Global Student Prize para po sama-sama po nating i-inspire at i-uplift ang ating kapwa Pilipino. Yun po.
Yes, Dr. Venus, thank you. And I know that truly every one of you are, inspiration for other teachers. And then thank you again. And maybe we could hear your thoughts, Sir Windell.
Good day po, Ma'am Marks. So sa akin po, yan, because of the pandemic, medyo nag-iba po yung system natin when it comes to DepEd. Kasi yan, marami tayong mga challenges sa educational system, not only the teachers, but also the students. So with the teachers, yung mga pwede maging nominees and mga aspirant nominees sa GTP and GSB, we teachers committed to serving to the underserved. So like these challenges sa pandemic, that you should not have stop any resilience in delivering to them the basic education. So maging yung magkaroon tayo ng education learning continuity plan amidst the health crisis. Kasi dapat tayo mga teacher, we should motivate others na despite of the current situation, dapat nating adapt yung mga sudden changes. So medyo iba na yung educational system, but let us embrace the new normal and continue to inspire our learners.
Yes, thank you, Sir Wendell. Truly, we should adopt in the new normal. And next, I will call on Sir Ryan. Sir Ryan.
Hello, Ma'am Marks. Good afternoon, ma'am. Kumusta po kayong lahat? And of course, this forum, it will serve an eye-opener to everyone, to the students, to the teachers, to the guardians, para ano rin po, to reflect on themselves. We are now in the middle of the night. Medyo hindi pa tayo nakakabangon sa pandemic. And this time, we have to ask ourselves, anong pwede nating gawin? Ano ang pwede nating iambag para at least mabawasan yung mga problems na tinutugunan ng ating government.
Sir Ryan,
Thank you, Sir Ryan, for sharing your thoughts. I think one of the many things that we also need to consider this time is also our connectivity issues, and we have learned to live with it, and we have developed a number of mechanisms how to survive when we get disconnected. So just a while back, since I was having problems, and not only with the laptop but also really with connectivity, just now or a few minutes ago, the message coming from the telecommunication line, which we are subscribing, has came in and said in 48 hours the connectivity will be restored. So that's going to be like for 48 hours, maybe that will be already Friday morning on our end. So this is this is where we are now. But I'm glad to be hearing from Wendell a futuristic view of education, as well as our active participation and engagement, no matter what the situation brings us, all of us, and we still continue to engage. This forum this afternoon is one of the many manifestations that indeed not even the greatest pandemic, neither war, could separate teachers sharing their lives and sharing what they want to do as well in the field, not only in our respective areas, but also, of course, in areas where they need us most. We hope that through this forum, we were heard by not only by our colleagues in the Department of Education, but also those coming from the private sector, our international NGOs and NGOs as well here in the Philippines. So I think Meili has one last question before we end the forum. Meili?
Yes, I do have the last question po, ma'am. Thank you po, Director Marge. So for the last question, maybe we can start by Dr. Jesus Encelada to answer this. So, how can this Global Teacher Prize and Student Prize impact the lives of our teachers and learners? Sir, may answer po.
Thank you for that question. Last question, Miss Mirel. By uh, taking on the point of view of an indigenous teacher, an indigenous person, and on behalf also of the indigenous cultural communities all throughout the Philippines and all throughout the world, that we need platforms and recognitions like the GTP and the GSP to empower those souls, those people who may have less but do more. I would like to encourage more IP teachers, indigenous learners, ALS, and students maybe with people or persons with disabilities. You need to go out. You need to tell your beautiful stories. We need to uh, tell our stories, not just to make other people uh, feel uh, to make people pity on us, or they would uh, feel sorry about us, but to be inspired that despite our limitations, despite the provisions that we only receive, we try to surpass all these challenges and do more. Though we have less, but we do more, and we try to create a champion in every um, indigenous child, or in an every PWD, in an every ALS learner, because through creating champions in every one, then we could make a better, a stronger, and a more empowered society. I remember the issue about internet connectivity, and let me talk about another definition of connectivity, and that is about human relations. We need one another. We need this kind of platform to connect to one another, and by championing our own causes, we could empower ourselves, we could empower others through giving them inspiration. Thank you.
Yes po. Thank you, Dr. Jess, for that answer po. So, can we last the last one for to answer this question po, Dr. Jim, Sir Jim, I mean.
Hello, everyone. The Global Teacher Prize, the Global Student Prize is really a platform. A while ago, I was in the backstage and I was listening to everyone. Um, the Global Teacher Prize and this Global Student Prize present a lot of opportunities. While it's a recognition that will be given to a few, right? To a few. Kasi like I remember during our time, thousands were nominated, thousands applied, but then in the end, only a few, 50, will be, as Jesus has mentioned, elevated to the Global Teacher Prize community. I encourage everyone, what has been mentioned, to try your best, nominate the best teacher that you have right now, especially when it means representing your community. I agree with Jesus when he mentions about ALS. ALS has been well represented by Wendell. Jesus has well represented the indigenous people. All of us are representing a certain aspect, field, a certain community of students and educators, or even cultures in our communities. So um, I don't have much really to share because everything has been shared, but I love the idea that the Global Teacher Prize community is a diverse community full of representation. It celebrates everything, it celebrates every aspect of being a teacher, of being part of a culture. And that is the best message that I can leave everyone right now. We need to make sure that everyone is well represented. We have already from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. I'm pretty sure there are still a lot of underrepresented communities in the Philippines. So please nominate the best student, the best teacher, and let's celebrate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for that sharing. So, should there be anyone else who would like to share before we close? Sir Wendell?
I think it would be very exciting next year that in this forum will be joined by student ambassadors already.
Oh yes, I'm excited. I'm about to
Yeah, we're
say that,
excited.
Jess. ICO will be more excited, and we will be more engaged when we will have students also side by side with uh, with you guys, and of course students who will be sharing and will be telling us how they have also journeyed and what they're doing. And di ba ang ganda nung makikita natin na, oops, si Idol. I mean, they'll be pointing at you. For example, one GSP from Bicol, one GSP from Abra, one GSP from the home of the champions in Region 6, one GSP from the great people of Surigao, and of course, the sailing, the sturdy and resilient men and women, girls and boys coming from the island of Kamsur. So, di ba? Um, each one, and it is also a challenge for you guys before we close. Each one of you, there are five of you. I'm sure there will be more of you later on in the next coming years. But my challenge with you now is actually for you to at least have one area or have one from your community who will also be a global student prize, and ICO will be here to support you in a way that in a way by which we can facilitate your nomination to the global student prize or to the global teacher prize. Going back to what Dr. Souza said, it's a matter of packaging or repackaging one's self. So you also have to help our students repackage or package themselves. So we have come to the last part of the forum, and that is for me actually to give a synthesis and a closing message before we end. And
Mhm.
of the things that we have talked about today, I got carried away by your sharings on your passion projects. I'm reminded of the different colors of the passion fruits, and I was trying to associate which one of you is green and which one of you is yellow and which one of you is purple and which one of you is already really ripe. When you talked about your lives, you shared your journeys and you shared the what really drives you to do the things is actually your passion. And I have said, I have shared in the Facebook comments, what actually drives you is what emanates from your core. The very core of you actually brings out not only your desire to help, but actually your desire to improve one's life, one's community, one's village, and one's area, of course, in this life. And also, there are a number of things too that you shared, like Dr. Venus. Her journey is very touching. We know that. Same thing with Wendell. I cannot yet. I have not moved on. Every time I think of Wendell's journey and that of Ryan, they were pushing the boat. Wendell was pushing the yellow boat with the Yellow Boat Foundation. Thank you to the team. And of course, with Ryan Homan, Sir Ryan pushed his balsa or his we call it here in the Locandia racket, or it's a bamboo raft that you push on the river, or it could also be on seas. And all of these things, when you push, it's because there is a need for us to go against the tide so that we have to hit the goal. And that goal is actually to reach out to our co-teachers, to reach out to our learners, and to reach out to communities. Very simple picture, yet very meaningful on what it means to be a teacher. A teacher praise until something happens. I say that time and again. But also, push would stand for push until something happens. Wendell has proven that. Now, his makeshift building is now a school with an ID. So he really pushed for it. Ryan, for example, Doc Jazz, Venus, and Jim, they indeed pushed not only what they wanted to do, but also they pushed away what was distracting them to do something and really gave themselves. And the second segment, and which is the last, is actually a presentation of the call for nomination for Global Student Prize. The Global Student Prize is also for young girls and young boys at the age at least ages 16, and they are also doing something not only for themselves but also for the community or for their peers. It's a call not only for them but for teachers to look at our students, how can we also be qualified